everyone. Welcome to another week of Xbox Infinite, episode 34. How you going, guys? Oh, there we are. Yeah, I thought I was having some technical issues there, but it seems to have pulled itself in. Look, just a caveat for this week, guys. Doomy is running late, we think. She will let us know what's going on later on in the show. But we do have an awesome show for you guys this week. And we've got an awesome guest of Boom fame from Mr. Boomstick's channel and his own channel, which we'll link in the chat later in the show. And you can get over there and subscribe and check out his content. He is a great up-and-coming content creator. It's Mr. Daniel McGee. How you doing, man? How's your week? What have you been playing?
Oh, man, it's been a wild week, to be honest with you. I been applying for a whole lot of jobs. Recently, my whole department at work got let go, so I've been doing a lot of that. As far as what I've been playing, it's been, I started as Dusk Falls, and then I've honestly just been wasting a lot of time on Sea of Thieves, because that's like a comfort food to me. But yeah, no, it's just been a hot, stressful week.
Have you ever bumped into Zorka on Sea of Thieves and sunk him?
No, but well, maybe. I guess I wouldn't really know. I can tell you if I ran into him, I would have sunk him. Yeah.
If you do run into him, put a cannonball on that ship for me. The guy reckons that Batman's a bad movie. Anyway, moving on, Jedi Knight Pete, as always, how is your week? What have you been playing? How are things going?
Yeah, good. Yeah, been a really fun gaming week. Early on in the week, me, you, and Umbra started playing Halo co-op, and that is about as much fun as you can have gaming. And it's why I initially wanted them to delay it, because that game is just made for co-op. So much fun. Really looking forward to talking about that. Got up to S2 tier in the Hot Wheels DLC, which I prefer more than the mainline game. I just think a Hot Wheel location, the tracks, the cars are just incredibly fun. And I jumped into As Dusk Falls just to try it out. And yeah, looking forward to talking about that as well. Thank you for coming, Daniel. Let's go, boys.
And as always, Umbra, how you doing, man? How's your week? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Oh, man, my week is going by well. It's like Jedi said, man, there's a lot of good gaming going on, actually. I mean, you think that you need AAA, but you don't. You know, you really don't. If you play a lot of games like we all do here, you'll be happy. And as he played, I played the Hot Wheels DLC, loving it. I played a bit of it with Dealer, matter of fact, a minute ago. And, you know, just want to throw this out there. I knocked him out. Well, I didn't knock him out, but I beat him in Fight Night Champion. Throw it out there. Anyway, yeah, man, I'm loving it. And I'm playing through Dusk Falls. I played it through xCloud, the first chapter, and I'm playing the second chapter now.
Nice.
Really enjoyable, actually. It's pretty much a Telltale game. I mean, if you all have played any Telltale game, there you go. And we'll elaborate on that in a few. But yeah, man, just playing all of that. And of course, Shrey. So yeah, just ready to chop it up with you guys and talk about all of that in a minute.
Did you say you beat the shit out of Dealer?
Well, I beat him. Yeah, I won.
Tracked him down. Yeah. Found his IP.
I got 5 out of the 8. 5 out of the 8, you know.
All right. Yeah. Look,
I don't want the wrong sound bite to go out there and he'd be like, "Oh man, that's what the Umbra is saying about me."
Right. Yeah, someone clip that and send it to him. Dealer. Right. Look, guys, I'm actually again sick. I don't think it's COVID this time. I don't think you can get it twice in a row. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but I woke up this morning with a massive gland and not between my legs, which is unfortunate. And a bit of a headache, but I've pumped myself full of painkillers and I'm here ready to go. I've been playing, actually I don't normally talk about what I'm playing at the start of the show, but I've been playing an absolute shitload of games. I haven't got a chance to play As Dusk Falls, but I have played Stray and I've been playing a lot of Forza Horizon Hot Wheels, man. That game is awesome. You see that on the screen now. Yeah, I was playing with Boba Fett in the chat there, and just everyone in the chat, guys. You guys are amazing. You come every week. You do power the show, and I love seeing you guys in the chat saying good morning and g'day, and yeah, it's just awesome to have you with us every week. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Share it out, and let's get into it. So the first topics of the week is what we are playing, which is awesome. I've always wanted to have this like in the show, like because there hasn't been much to play. Like, let's be honest, except for like the older games that we all love and do play. And Umbra, you're right. There's plenty to play out there, but there's been nothing really new to talk about. But this week we've got Forza Horizon Hot Wheels, we've got Stray, and we've got As Dusk Falls. And look, what I was going to do this week is just kind of go to everyone and see what their thoughts are on each of the games. So if you guys in the chat haven't played any of these games, then you can kind of get a good idea of what it is and what it's all about. So I'm going to kick it off this week, man. If you have not played the Hot Wheels DLC and you are not a car person or a racer player, I'm not. I don't play races, but this is like one of the best DLCs that I've ever seen in a game, like ever. It's absolute fire, man. I've had an absolute ball. I played with Pete, played with Bobo, played with Jedi. I haven't had a chance to play with Umbra, and I've just had a great time. Played with Monad, played a fair bit with Monad. And I've had an absolute great time.
Both Pete and Jedi. Wow.
Oh, did I say Pete and Jedi? Yeah, well, come on, I'm sick. Yeah, so like it's honestly one of the best DLCs I've ever played. I've been having a blast, man, and since Forza Horizon 5 has come out, I've been completely turned around on races. I would normally just breeze past them, but this one is just one you can't miss. And you'll see I'm driving the Colt Eastwood endorsed Mountain Dew car there. Thought I'd throw that in there. Hey, Mav, how you doing? Look, I'll go to you, Mr. McG. Oh, look, I'll also say I played a little bit of Stray, and that's not bad. Look, I'll go to you, Mr. McG, and just whatever you've played out of the Forza Horizon, Stray, or As Dusk Falls, just give us your thoughts. What do you think? And do you think you'll stick with them?
Oh, yeah. So really the only one of them that I've been going deep on is As Dusk Falls. And it's fantastic. I'm really loving it so far. It like takes all of the best aspects of those sort of choose your own adventure style games and mixes them together, right? Because it has really like valuable choice and consequence built in, even on things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, right? So there'll be situations where it's like you're just like playing a game with your daughter or something, and you like cheat, and then that'll affect how she views you later. She'll be like, "Oh, you always cheat." You would like such small things that you wouldn't even consider as like being real consequential choices have lasting effects that I would have never expected. And so that's been really surprising. The art style I know is really hit and miss on people. For me, I had to take a little bit to get used to it. But it's certainly better than what you get from like a Telltale or something, where like the faces just don't quite animate right, or like they'll smile and their teeth look really goofy or something. So it's an acquired taste for sure. I don't know if you've seen like that clip from The Quarry where there's that one girl who like smiles at the camera and she looks like a Jack Skellington or some shit. Like it's bad.
Yeah, those smiles on The Quarry actually they are pretty weird looking. You're right.
It's
like
really uncanny. Too. Yeah. But then they also bring in like the like spider web of choices that you get from something like a Detroit Become Human. It's probably the best version of that game that I've played yet, and it's been great. The Forza Horizon, I really want to get in on that. I haven't gotten to it yet. Just went to As Dusk Falls, I think, because it was free on Game Pass and Forza wasn't. So, and then Stray, I'm probably just going to give that one a pass. I feel like Stray is really for those kind of people who like, you don't just like cats, but like you would put in your dating profile that I'm a cat person, and that's a red flag for me. So I'm staying away, I think, from that general vibe as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, look, I've played a little bit of Stray, and I've got to be brutally honest here. I am not a cat person. There's been 2 cats in my entire life that I've actually gotten along with. Look, I played a little bit of Stray, and I don't think my dog was pleased. I actually put a post on Twitter of a picture of my dog's face staring at the screen when I was playing it. He wasn't happy. He didn't like it. But I thought it was okay, man. It's not too bad. It's kind of felt like, and I haven't played a lot of it. I think I was about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in, and it felt like it's walking simulator, not in a bad way. But it's you kind of go through the world, and the world is a story, but also backed up by a little robot that kind of comes along with you with a story as well. So like it's all about, I think, that game about telling a story. But Umbra, you've played a little bit of Stray. What were your thoughts on Stray? You far into it? What are you thinking so far?
Yeah, I'm on chapter 8 right now, mid chapter 8, and I've played about 4 hours worth. I get an hour because you have to get an hour to go to sleep to get that trophy, and I did that, so I don't count that as my time. But yeah, man, I like it. I think you kind of explained it pretty well. It's the thing is you're playing as this cat, and it is kind of a cat walking simulator in some way, to be fair. So I can see how some people see that, and I see how some people find it boring. I absolutely do get that. I have a wide palette when it comes to gaming, though, right? So these types of games can speak to me too. And that's just how I am. I can play everything from just kind of the driver to get these things done.
The voyeur,
you know,
like it's very
exactly.
voyeuristic, isn't it? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. And other than that, but it's got its own charm to it. I wouldn't write it off. I would say though, I think the praise that it's gotten as far as these 8 and 9s, I don't think it's worth that. You know, right now I'm at a 7, I would say, which is I think is fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more than fair, personally. And you know, it's nice. I will say this too, and somebody brought it up. I'm not sure who said it, but I think it was actually our buddy Truly. He pointed out, he said he thinks visually it doesn't look as good as when they first showed it. And I agree with that. I think when you actually play it, it looks less pretty than when they first showcased it at that show, that PlayStation Showcase, where how visually it looks. It's not as sharp as what they made it out to be, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a fun game, and in some ways, as far as when you trying to uncover what's going on in the world. For that reason, I like it. If I had to say just based off gameplay, you probably will be bored. I will acknowledge that. Most people will probably play it and be like, but you got a lot of people who love pets and stuff. I think this speaks to those people, honestly. And for that reason, I think they'll like it. I think it's a lot of cap though. I think a lot of people are capping for it because it's on PlayStation. So they're like, oh, well, this is great now. Now indies are good, of course, because you know PlayStation. But so I think a lot of that is that. Just to be honest, just to be real.
Yeah. Look, I just with that, I liked it. I like it, man. I don't know about the cap. The foliage is amazing. Never seen foliage like that in my life. You know, it moves when you walk through it, and that's what makes a good game. I'm just messing around. Look,
and if you look at the screen, you see the volcanoing back there.
I know it's crazy, right? There's nothing
Step
like
up to his usual game, saying Stray is better than Forza. Today,
yeah,
No.
Well,
definitely not.
I mean,
him
you'll
out.
probably get more nominations at the Game Awards just by nature of being not a
can you say
racing
that
game.
again? Cats are better than dogs, right? That's it.
Yeah, no, cats are definitely not better than dogs. Yeah. And
Look at a
thing,
houseplant. When do I get my game?
the thing I liked about Stray, to be honest with you guys, is look, I don't want to offend anyone who's a cat person, but cats are assholes, right? Normally, it's just in general. And like you actually get to do all these assholey things, like walk over keyboards and like knock people's paint tins over and knock bottles over and just generally annoy, scratch up people's carpet. I kind of found that fun. But look, I'll go to DoomCutie and just say welcome. We know you're running a little bit late and all good. How's your week been? What have you been up to? And have you played as Dusk Falls, Forza Horizon 5 or Stray? Because I know you were looking forward to Stray as well.
Hey guys, I'm very, very sorry. Things happen. But I'm here. And I really missed being on the show last week. So it felt like there was like I had a limb missing or something. So yeah, it meant a lot to me to come back today.
Miss you too, mate.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Umbra.
All right, enough of the niceness. No, you're right.
I was waiting to see if Risk. I was going to see if
yes,
you were going to say something nice.
No, never.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We are happy to have you.
This week I've been playing so much Forza. Like you guys know, I've been playing Forza like every day the moment it came out, pretty much, and I've been loving it. And if you guys haven't checked it out, I actually did a review for it for Game On Australia, which is the company that I'm now writing articles for. So go and check that out. It's in my Twitter and yeah, it's just so fun. It's just so fun. And Stray, I actually downloaded it last night and put it on and turned it off after 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
a cat person.
I was bored. Probably because I'm going from literal like Forza Hot Wheels like racing car game to Stray, but I'm a big fan of cozy games. I like them. I like cute games where I can take pictures, and like cats are really popular. Not that I would say that I'm a cat person. I actually don't have any pets, but I don't think that should like. I mean, I don't own a Lamborghini, but it doesn't mean I don't like driving one in Forza. You know what I mean?
Well, you've got a fish. You do have a fish, right?
I do have a fish. Her name is Wanda.
Cool,
Wanda.
Yeah.
Fantastic name.
She's at school in my science lab, and yeah, she's living her best life. She actually survived. She's a survivor, because there was one fish that was eating all the other fish because it started with 7, and
wow.
basically this fish was eating. Off topic, but this fish was eating off like the other fins of the fish, and I just thought they were dumb and like dying and like swimming and getting caught in places and getting their fins ripped off. And then I realized that these goldfish can actually eat each other, like they can get really aggressive. So it was just Wanda and this one fish, and I was like, what is going on? And then I realized her tail was being like chopped away, and I was like, this is so stupid. Wanda's like the smartest fish. This is not a thing. So anyway, I got rid of him.
So this sounds like it could be a cool game, like fish eat fish, or like man eater
Fish
or something.
story.
Yeah,
Fish story.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So with Stray, look, maybe I just need to like sit down and concentrate, but yeah, I don't know. I feel a little bit underwhelmed, and I really, really thought I would like it.
Yeah, I thought you would be down with it, because I know that's kind of, like you said, your cozy games, and you get into that more, and I didn't think I would like it, but I do. Pete, I know you haven't got a chance to play Stray, but I know you have, you were saying you've knocked out a little bit of Dusk Falls, and I know you've been into Hot Wheels. Just what are your thoughts on the games that have come out this week? And it's been a great week for gaming, a great week for people. We've even had Halo multiplayer co-op, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I didn't manage to get any gameplay cap of that, but there's a lot out this week. So Pete, what are your thoughts on what's coming out this week? What have you enjoyed most? And
Okay, well, you guys know me.
Naked Girls.
Obviously, I am a massive Halo fan, and I've been waiting for this co-op for, since it was announced, basically. It should have been there since day one. And I think, we had as much fun playing that game that I've ever had playing any game. It's just incredibly fun playing together. The amount of times we killed each other and just didn't go on mission. We spent like hours on end just killing each other and then sexually assaulting each other.
Yeah, we did.
As is tradition.
And
Exactly.
I couldn't stop laughing. Like, I literally couldn't stop laughing through the entire session. It was just so much fun playing with you guys. And that was just amazing. We were skipping the cutscenes because we're waiting for the full game to come out. But, Umbra is on it, man. Like, he knows where all the Spartan cores are. He knows where all the FOBs are. So, basically, just follow him and then kill Risket and Umbra, in between shooting the enemies. So, yeah, that was awesome.
And then play innocent. Like, I wasn't me, mate.
Yeah. Well, it's extremely easy to blame Risket because he is devious. And so...
Yeah. One time I killed him and I thought it was him. It was actually you that did it.
Yeah, I know. I just get blamed for everything, but because I'm so devious, I can like do it, and then they're not sure. Did he do it? Did he not do it? Pete's also devious, so I don't know. And then Umbra will just kill us both, like, or try.
Yeah.
That's
it's actually a nightmare. It's actually a nightmare to play any game where they can friendly fire on one another, like.
Yeah.
In Among Us. Among Us is a prime example of how these guys play. So to be honest, if you were strapping a gun to them and running around an open world, like, I can just imagine that that's a great time.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's a lot like being a goldfish.
These goldfish are my friends, but I'm going to eat their fins and kill them all.
Wild, man, just wild.
From when Halo Infinite Co-op started to now, they've definitely upped the difficulty in Legendary. So when we were first running through it, it seemed way too easy for Legendary.
Yeah.
And
We're
then
gonna
I
go-
jumped in.
We're going to go more into Halo in depth a little bit later, man. But yeah, sorry to
I've
take
also
you.
been playing. Oh, good. I've also been playing Hot Wheels too, and I'm the same as you, Riskit, mate. I'm not a big car racing or car racing game fan. And I actually like Hot Wheels more than I like the mainline game. It actually hooked me. It sunk its teeth into me more so than the mainline game. And I'm up to S2 tier. Absolutely love it. Yeah. And Doomy, I found more roads than you. I made sure I passed you by 3 roads before I got on. It's pretty cool. So I
I thought I was the
yours-
only one that thought like that.
Your sleeping schedule is a lot more wild than mine, so
that is true. That is true.
so yeah, you do have that advantage over me.
And I jumped into As Dusk Falls just for a little bit because I wanted to see what it was like. And it's been heavily, heavily advertised by Microsoft and Xbox. And it was weird when I jumped in. It seems like it's a game that you play on your phone, but you can also play it on your Xbox. In saying all of that, Zoe is instantly adorable. I think she's just a great character. So the characters look great. But what really hit me initially, and the very first song that came on, I think Born in the USA or a different version of it, the score is amazing. And I actually really like the art style too. And the very first little mini game that I had, you're playing hide and seek, and you've got to like memorize what you see on screen. And I got asked how many stars were on Zoe's bag, and I had no idea. So I cheated and I peeked, and I got busted by her. So yeah, I love that little interaction. Looking forward to playing it more, but from what I've seen, looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to jump into that. And I mean, you can play it on cloud, so I will jump into it and check it out. But there's just been so much out this week. Like you said, Halo Infinite was an absolute blast. I didn't get any footage of that, which is a shame. I was just loving it so much, I didn't even think to cap it. Forza Hot Wheels has been an absolutely great week. And anyone who's saying that Xbox hasn't got games is an absolute tool.
You know what? I knew when they announced this, and I knew when this was coming out, this was going to be incredible. And I don't think it was on many people's radars. I don't think people thought it was going to be this good, but it's okay. It's okay, Hot Wheels. I love you. I was right. I was right about something.
We'll move on to the next topic, and that is the ABK deal. Look, I wanted to talk about this a little bit later in the week. It dropped kind of not long after we had our last show. We didn't get much of a chance to talk about it. But from a little aggregate site, which is weird. No one's actually had heard of this site until they kind of dropped this news. But they're saying that the agreement between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard could materialize as early as August. Because basically the FTC now has 30 days to either sue to stop the deal, to request more information, or just let it go through. And basically, look, with all the backing that they've had from the unions, I think that was one of the major roadblocks. Senators coming out saying they're concerned about the workplace atmosphere or the conditions, and then the unionization that was going on, I think it was within Raven, or was it Sledgehammer? And they were trying to get that through. But I think with the recent things that have happened, employees coming to Microsoft and saying, will you help us with the union? That bodes well. The union saying that they will back the deal. I think it's been pretty quiet from the FTC since Microsoft has returned the information that they've requested. And to be honest, I think it bodes well. You've got to remember that it's 2023 fiscal year that this is supposed to be closing. We are in fiscal year 2023. My personal feeling is with everything, and we don't know because there's a lot of red tape in the background. None of us are lawyers. We're just speculating. But my feeling is that they want to push this through now as quickly as possible. You've also had the Bungie deal close just recently, which again bodes well for Microsoft, as you know they can't be seen to be being a monopoly, which is absolute craziness. So I think personally, my personal feeling is it's probably going to land around September, but I can't see it closing in August. But Umbra, I'm going to go to you. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think we'll see this deal close earlier? Do you think it'll be the mid-year next year, the end of fiscal year, or where are you thinking this lands?
You know, it's interesting. I remember when we first spoke on that, you know, when we heard about the ABK deal and them going through the processes. And I think I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I said it probably, into my just guess, it would be sometime later this year, maybe like September, or not September. I think I said December, something like that. I said. So I don't know if it will go through next month. If it did, that would be crazy, but I don't believe it'll be that soon. And for a few reasons, I think it's just kind of wishful thinking. But I will say, as I said, when I was on the Xbox Factor on Boom's podcast, is that I believe that clearly Microsoft knows it'll be finished and finalized by a point where they can add a lot of these games into Game Pass by by the start, if not by March or June of next year. And I believe Diablo will launch day and date, for instance, into Game Pass. So I think that the deal will be completed, if not by the end of this year, then early next year. That's my thinking. I think maybe August is a little too wishful thinking, but you never know. That's the thing I will say. Everything is going so smoothly with them. What am I to say about it? You know, I just don't know. But I would love it if it happened. I think it would be not just a big deal for us, but clearly for Microsoft, if they can have all these games ready to, most of them anyway, a lot of them to be added right to Game Pass by the holidays. That would be insane, an insane value for all of us, because then I can jump through and finish all the Call of Duty campaigns as I would never buy them, you know.
Well, it can't go through in August. It can't go through in August.
No,
because the UK have their thing going, and if they need people to submit any problems they have with the deal by September 1st, and the EU is around mid-September, so they need approval from both those places first. So yeah, it can't go through in August. It's impossible. They need to wait for that. And also China is involved in the deal as well. So I don't know when their approval will go through. I believe it's also mid-September. So there's no possible way the deal can go through in August. It can go through in September, but I just think that due to the size of the deal, FTC will ask for more information just to make it look like they're doing their due diligence. I don't think anything will stop this deal, especially after the unions voted to approve it. I mean, if the workers that actually work there want the deal to go through, and Microsoft has no opposition to them unionizing, then I think that was one of the big hurdles that Microsoft, had to get over before the deal could go through. So I can't see it not going through. And if the FTC do decide to push ahead and just allow the deal to go through, I can see the EU and the UK following suit. But there's no way with a deal this size that I can see the FTC not asking for more information. And I stand by what I said previously. I believe the deal will go through in March next year.
Do you want to put a bet on that? Do you want to put a public bet that they ask for more information?
I don't.
I think if they had more information,
I'll have a friendly bet, mate.
Yeah, we'll have a friendly bet. I think if they'd ask for more information, it kind of shows a little bit of incompetence. But the only reason that they would ask for more information, not for due diligence, I think they would ask if something in the information they have received requires more clarification. And I don't think that Microsoft's lawyers would leave anything to chance. And I think they probably would have covered and answered any questions that the FTC had.
I agree with that.
covered their
I
bases.
agree with that, Risket. The problem I have with it is because the deal's become politicized, like everything at the moment in America. And the reason I say that is Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and a lot of these other senators have already asked the FTC to investigate further. Now, it shouldn't be the case that a deal like this is politicized, but unfortunately, that's just the world that we live in.
Well, the thing about that is that like the reason that they were doing that is because they wanted to like make their constituents think that they were actually going to do something and maybe like care about it.
Yeah.
But
good
local
point.
elections are over, so they probably don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, that's actually a good point because I have yet to see them talk about it ever since like that whole when Microsoft backed the people from Raven for protesting and such and getting a union involved. I haven't heard a peep from Senator Warren or anyone else after that.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I think you're right about that. I think they did as political, you know, oh yeah, the grandstanding or whatever. And that's
it
kind of
was just to be seen as having done something, right? Because
Yep.
we have a new person in charge of the FTC who was saying that they were going to crack down on these sorts of deals more, and so I believe that those senators wanted to sort of align themselves with that new trend and seem like they were sort of more in that vein. But really, at the end of the day, I don't think any of them care. Especially being as how their big complaint was, oh, what's going to happen to the employees after this deal goes through? And like any cursory Google search would be like, it can't get much worse, so you might as well let it go through. And like Microsoft coming out and saying that they're super cool with whoever of any of their teams, not just the Activision people, want to like unionize or do whatever. Like I think that really cut them off at the knees. I don't think they have a leg to stand on at this point, even if they wanted to. But also, I think they're perfectly comfortable sitting down.
Yeah, exactly. I completely
agree.
agree with that. That's what I've got. What I was going to allude to is that the problems that the political side of things had with it has been quashed. Microsoft's quashed that. They've done it publicly as well. So for the senators to come back out and come back at them, they would have to have something on Microsoft to continue to grandstand, which is what it is. I think you're 110% right. So I don't see the FTC having any reason. I think they've basically got their hands tied at this point. Unless there is something that needs more clarification, I don't think they're asking for more information. On the China thing, I don't think China will give a shit, to be honest. I don't think that they'll step in to stop it. And the UK and the EU, look, put it this way, when not Activision Blizzard, when the
ZeniMax.
when the Bethesda ZeniMax deal closed, they co-signed the deal within 24 hours. So whatever the FTC leads with, you're very likely to see the UK and the EU jump on with as well.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily if it'll be that fast, but I do think that that's going to happen. I agree to an extent with what you're saying, Pete, where I also don't necessarily think it's going to happen in August. It could, I guess, and that would make Gamescom really great because I think that's at the end of the month, and if the deal is done by then, they're going to roll out the red carpet all over Gamescom, right? So that'd be fantastic. But realistically, I think I fall more in that like September, October area. Like I think it's going to be a fall.
Mm-hmm.
October 28th, Modern Warfare 2 launches. I mean, how good would that be if it drops day one into Game Pass? I really hope I'm wrong. You know, I just think that the over-politicization of everything...
absolutely. But that's America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just going to, make them do it just as out of a matter of optics, more than anything else, going to what Doovie said. Like, he asked me what information do you think they need? I don't think they need any more information. And I think... Daniel, you're absolutely right. When the unions said that they're happy with the deal, they don't have a leg to stand on anymore. They really don't. But I would love to be wrong. I really would be. But I just can't see it happening. But yeah, if I am wrong, October 28th, Modern Warfare 2, day and date, Game Pass, baby.
Man,
I mean,
yeah.
that is going to be...
Yes.
Well, we can talk about that in a
massive.
minute because that's also probably not going to happen even if the deal goes through because PlayStation has
Sony.
a marketing deal with Sony. But I'll just go to you, Doomy. When do you think we'll see this acquisition land and why? How do you see the deal going?
Look, I think there's a lot of pressure on Microsoft to get this done because, I mean, look at how fast the PlayStation and Bungie acquisition happened and they're already working on their live service. So it's just, I feel like they're under the pump. So I think it's going to happen within the next 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a lot quicker, and like everyone said, the union signed off on it. I think probably just their CEO is probably dragging his feet a little bit.
I think the biggest thing is like what Cutie said, and what most of us are saying is that the FTC is the biggest hurdle, and I don't think they're going to request for anything more because, like Danny pointed out, I think that was just for show with the senators saying what they said. I think Bernie. To be fair, I think Bernie is a man of his word. I think he actually feels that way. Senator Warren, not so much. But I think that's my own beliefs. Regardless of that, I noticed that I haven't seen them on that train anymore ever since the unions all got behind this. Ever since the unions got behind it, and Microsoft was like, "Oh yeah, we support you all getting your union." After that happened, with Raven and everything else, and Microsoft was so forthcoming on saying, "Yeah, we'll allow this, we'll allow that. We're not going to stand in the way of these games being multi-plat or whatever." It's like they didn't have a leg to stand on anymore. So I think that that for that reason, it's possible that it could happen much sooner than we think. It would be crazy if we happen to get Modern Warfare 2 into a day and date, but as we all like was pointed out by Risk, and Sony has that deal already marketing with Modern Warfare, and they're never going to be okay with allowing it to go day and date into the service, and they would be stupid to do so. So
I don't think these games I don't think it's going to be like, yes, acquired, next day games. You know what I mean?
Right.
That stuff takes a lot of time. So
Yeah,
I
don't know about that, Doomy. I was talking to Hargeet about this, and the deal that Microsoft, Sony, and Activision have with Modern Warfare is, well, I think it was drawn up in 2017. Game Pass wasn't a big thing back then. So yes, they have the marketing rights, but I don't think there'd be anything in that particular deal that would stipulate that Microsoft wouldn't be allowed to put it in Game Pass day and date. Now, from the grapevine or through the rumors, we heard that the deal with Resident Evil 8 changed, and I think Sony paid to not allow that game to be put into Game Pass day one. And so they are now implementing that into their contracts. But because the deal was signed so long ago, I don't think there'd be anything stopping it from going in day one. I could be wrong. But yeah,
so,
look,
it's
I
a fair
suppose it's a
point.
wait and see.
But you know what I would imagine? I would imagine Sony is smart enough to say, "Hey, let's talk to these other developers too and get that new policy of ours implemented across the board." That would be my thinking.
I do think it's really funny now that Sony now has to like shell out extra money just to keep games off Game Pass, because they did it with Elden Ring too.
I know.
Famously there was that article that came out that was like Elden Ring was supposed to be in Game Pass, but PlayStation like both paid Bandai Namco and also was like low key maybe threatening them a little bit because I think it was their CEO or something came out and was like, "Yeah, we're just worried that it would affect our relationship with PlayStation."
Yeah, right.
Like,
okay.
Yep.
Well, normally businesses are about money, which is odd. Sorry. Yeah.
Risk it.
Right, yeah, I was just looking at the chat. We keep getting these naked girls that they're having a good time, and I was trying to delete it. There was a bit of a break in the conversation. I was like, I'm deleting stuff. But Umbra is all over.
You guys don't have cameras here. What the hell?
Umbra's all over it, so that's fantastic. Yeah, look, I was going to say that, Pete, exactly what you guys said. And I could be wrong about the marketing deal. It depends on what that entails. And there could be language within that marketing deal that could be interpreted as keeping it off competing, platforms and any kind of marketing. But of course, it again then could slip through the cracks. They may not have written that in. And you can't really go back and change a deal. Like, I don't think that they can do that. I don't think they can go back and go, well, we want to add this to the contract now. And I'm pretty sure that Activision Blizzard would be like, no.
I'll say this. I think Sony has enough pull to do that, though, Risk. I think they have enough pull to say, hey, this is unfair to us. We have a marketing deal with you all. We want this added to that stipulation that you all cannot just put this into Game Pass day and date, to honor that part of the contract, because it would be unfair to Sony. To be fair, I think that would be the wisest thing. And if I'm saying that, I know the lawyers working for Sony are 10 times smarter than me and on it. You know what I mean? So I believe they did do that.
I don't think so, Umbra. I think the lawyers at Sony are definitely not smarter. I think you're as smart, if not smarter.
Well, thank you. But I'm just saying, like, if you're running this business and Sony's a multi-billion-dollar company and they got $1 million lawyers, I don't think they're going to let that slip. I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to be like, oh, well,
Yeah.
hey, you know,
Yeah, it's just about it's but
forget to like add that to them and say, hey, and call them up. And I think they have enough pull. I mean, they have the biggest market share. They have pull. They can absolutely, kind of fall back on it and say, hey, let's keep this relationship going
yeah,
well.
but it depends on the timing of the deal. They may have thought that it wasn't that
Yeah.
Game Pass was not a threat until Microsoft made that offer. And then once Microsoft's made that offer, I can 110% bet that the lawyers at Activision would have been like, no, we're good. We're gonna wait and see how this lands, and then we'll go from there, type thing. Yeah, Daniel, you were Mr. McG. I like calling you Mr. McG. You got to get rid of that, Daniel. I reckon Mr. McG is awesome.
Get rid of your regular name.
Wait, is it McG or McGee?
No, McG.
It's McG. Well, I mean, it's my full name is McGartland, but it's just I shortened it for.
Now we know where you live.
It's true. Yeah.
It's time.
Shouldn't do that.
Oh no, it just reminded me. Did you guys watch NCIS? You know McGee from NCIS?
I definitely.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but I don't watch.
I have heard that one. Yeah. It's so I get that, and I get there was like a person who used to produce music videos back in like the late 90s, early 2000s named McG.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, are you that guy? No, I'm kidding.
I am neither of those people, it turns out.
Okay.
What
Damn
about
it!
the coffee guy?
That's why we got you
What
on.
about
We
the
thought
coffee
we
guy,
thought you were that guy, but
It's really been a clever ploy my whole life.
Danny, what about the coffee guy that has your exact same name?
Oh my god, I gotta take that coffee guy down. He hasn't even posted in like a year.
Yes, McGee, but that's just me.
All right,
Abby
look,
and Tony are awesome.
we're getting a little bit off track, and I'm going to pull us back on course because there is something that links a little bit with the timing of the Microsoft ABK deal closing. I think, and this could all just be pie in the sky, but if you look at the timing of this, Netflix and Microsoft have entered into an advertising deal for Netflix to bring a new tier to their service where you pay a little bit less and you have ads within the service. And Microsoft has kind of won the bid to do that. There's a lot of tech companies in there that were going for this deal. You're talking about Google, they've got YouTube. You're talking about Amazon, and they've got Prime. There's lots of other tech companies that could have jumped in on this deal, and a couple of big ones that Microsoft believes that are their true competition. Not Sony, because they just don't have the pocketbook, I think is the way that Microsoft sees Sony. And this comes at a very interesting time when there's rumors of the ABK deal closing. And we know that Microsoft have said many times they're not done after this acquisition, or they said it after Bethesda, but I assume they're definitely not done trying to grow their service. And this has led to rumors of, and it is just a rumor at the minute, but analysts are saying it would be a good thing, and I think it definitely would be. Analysts are saying there could be a possibility after this deal goes through that the next big purchase that Microsoft goes after is Netflix. I think, and we had some good conversations about this last week, and I know that we covered this last week, but Doomy wasn't here, and I think it's extremely compelling with the timing of the deal maybe going through. And imagine, your Netflix bundle, your Game Pass bundle includes Netflix, and instead of paying $15, you pay $20 or $25. That to me is an extremely compelling thing. And Microsoft does not have a streaming service. And of all the tech companies out there, they all do. They all have a streaming service. They all have their finger in a pie. Amazon's got 2. So it's very, very interesting timing of all of this. I'm going to go to DoomCutie because, Cutie, we haven't heard your opinion on this. We did talk about it a little bit last week, but I'm just finding it more and more compelling the more and more I read and think about it.
Look, I think if we look at what's recently happened, so Xbox is coming to TVs. No console, just cloud gaming on a TV. Cloud streaming of games and movies at the same time. It kind of feels like the next step. However, I hope that this doesn't mean that there are ads between these two. that's something that I wouldn't like to see. I wouldn't mind just having the one bill and just saying, it's $30, $35, whatever it is per month to have both my Game Pass and Netflix. But I just hope that it wouldn't drive advertising between the two. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that in gaming. That they have talked about having advertising in gaming, but if you look at what's on the screen, I think this is the type of advertising that they are really looking towards, which is billboards, cars, deals where it fits. It fits the
Well, for gaming, yeah, but
or
for
like
Netflix,
specifically like licensed games. Like I could see them making like a Stranger Things game or like a Umbrella Academy game or something like that.
That'd
I
be
don't
good.
that
think
for gaming.
Right.
I can see that for gaming, but I think for Netflix it'll be actually because they're actually adding an ad supported plan in 2023.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
like
why a
it's
lot
a
of people
different
canceled.
Yeah, well, because it's a different tier, right? Because it's
Right.
they're putting it in as because they keep raising the price and people are not happy about that justifiably. So they're like adding a new tier in a Hulu sort of way where you can have access to the service, but you still have to watch ads like between episodes or something like that, right? So, which I don't personally mind too much. Depending on how big the price jump is, I might change over to that one. But I think it's absolutely massive for Microsoft to get the advertising rights for that, right? It's like, I mean, I think I looked it up like 4 or 5 days ago. Even with Netflix has been dropping off in their subscription count lately, but they're still at like 240 or something million subscribers.
Yeah,
so
it's like a drop in the pan for them.
Yeah, so like you have to imagine that like if even a tenth of that is on this ad supported stream or like version of the service, then that's so many more eyes on Game Pass and on and obviously it would also be on like Windows and Surface tablets and that kind of shit. But like it's a lot more eyes, and people have been saying for a long time that Xbox needs to get better about marketing, and like I think that they've proven that they're getting pretty serious if they're willing to go to bat with Google and Amazon for it.
That's a good point, and they have to go to bat with them. I mean, because Google is a
for
major
sure.
player. But like my thing is, I don't think because the speculation is that they might try to buy Netflix. Now we know they can, but I don't think that would be. I don't think that's the foreseeable. I don't foresee that being like something they're going to try to do. Not anytime soon. I am hesitant to say that though, because Microsoft has shown us they will do what they want to do. It's like after the ABK
Do you think
deal,
that the Activision Blizzard King deal would go through before you heard that?
I did not.
I mean,
that's why I said I'm not so quick to be like it's not going to happen. Like I can't say it, but I don't feel that would be the case. But
it can't be dismissed. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly. But my thing is, I feel like if they can implement Game Pass into this somehow, because we already know Netflix was trying to do a gaming tier. They talked about adding gaming. If Microsoft can get into that where they have a Game Pass, streaming section or something like that, or parlay that into Game Pass somehow into Netflix, that would be major, man. And I'm pretty sure, it would. And I don't know do you all know who does Netflix use for their streaming capabilities? Is it?
It's Amazon Web Services, AWS.
Okay. Okay. I'm wondering. I was wondering if Microsoft would try to parlay that into using Azure with them.
I think that they probably will. I mean, if they bought Netflix, they absolutely would.
Without question. Without question.
That's sort of the reason why. Because obviously that if they bought Netflix, it would be a ridiculously huge deal, right? Like that's massive.
Yeah,
like, we talk about Netflix, and it's this. Everyone wants to be like, oh, they're losing subscriber counts. Oh, they don't make that much money, and it's like, yeah, okay, they are by leaps and bounds the largest streaming platform on the planet, right? Like I don't necessarily think that I spend as much time on Netflix as I do on something like Disney Plus or even HBO. But just looking at the raw subscription numbers, it's like 2 to 1, 3 to 1 in some cases with ones that I believe that I would have otherwise believed were on level, right? And it's just a completely different ballpark. So it would be.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
was going to say, Neil Mitchell just asked me, do you think that they will try and slowly take not only their ad service, but other tiers of Netflix from Amazon? And I have a feeling that this could lead to Microsoft getting further into partnerships with Netflix and not only
Possibly.
taking the ad business, because the ad business Microsoft is about $10 billion a year. Obviously, they're really trying to grow that. $10 billion is nothing to sneeze at, but it's nothing compared to the $160 billion that Google make from their ad businesses. And now that Amazon and Netflix are in direct competition with each other, I mean, let's face it, Netflix just dropped 100 million how many? I think it was a million subscribers, sorry. That's
Yeah.
quite a lot. And I know a lot of that has to do with them pulling out of Russia. I understand that, and I understand most of
Right.
those subscriptions
And also
will come back.
probably, honestly, because Stranger Things just ended, there were probably a ton
Yeah.
of people who subscribed specifically for Stranger Things, and when the season
point.
finished, they probably
Yeah.
unsubscribed. So honestly,
Same.
that
Souls
that
started
1
going up,
million
yeah.
number drop off, I'm not even necessarily really surprised by it. Like even outside
agree.
of any other political things going on.
I agree. So I do think that Microsoft and Netflix might want to buddy up. So even if the deal isn't for entirely buying the service, them getting into business with each other with the ad streaming service, and then maybe leaving Amazon's service and going onto the Azure network.
Yeah.
Maybe they could cut a deal that way, and I think I can definitely see that happening. Thank
That
you
would
for the
be my
question, Neil.
thought. Yeah, thanks, Neil. I think that would be my thought too. And I said pretty much, I think they could probably parlay that into that. And then also
Yeah.
try to sweeten it by adding Game Pass into it somehow. And I
Yeah.
mean, we already heard about them having the streaming stick and stuff like that. I mean, this all fits into that. So I think that's what
Yeah.
they would do rather than try to
My
purchase them.
only question about that would be, and I don't have an answer to it, but like, would that mean that like Game Pass would kind of be playable on a PlayStation? Because like they have Netflix. Like, could you play it through?
Would they
PlayStation?
pull
Like,
that? No,
Oh, Lord.
surely.
would they like
Yes,
not let that
right.
tier
Well,
be played
you can
on
already
have
do
to.
that.
PlayStation?
You can
Have to.
already play Game Pass on a PlayStation. I
Oh,
thought,
can you
I
really?
thought that- yeah, they already did
Oh
it.
my
So
God.
if you pull up a browser and then go
Yeah.
to, you can actually play.
You could do that
game-
way.
Yep. Yep.
I did not know. That's wild. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know like necessarily if I remember specifically. I think it was like 2013, 2014. It was the same year that the TV conference had, because I
Yeah.
one of the first videos I did was just like a retrospective of that particular conference. And one of the things that I pointed out in that video was that it was really funny that people were like pinning Xbox for that because like at that conference they came out and they were just talking about like, hey, you can watch streaming things on your Xbox. And then I think at E3 that same year, PlayStation came out and was like, yeah, so we're the biggest platform for Netflix, and we're making all these shows, and here's a television director. And they spent like twice as long talking about television, and just no one remembers it, and it just blew me away. But I specifically remember Mark Cerny coming out and being like, we're the biggest platform for Netflix, and like in a retrospective, like video game historian sort of way. It would be really funny for me if Netflix ended up getting bought by Microsoft.
But do you think maybe, because obviously they can't take it off other they can't take the app off of other devices. But I wonder if perhaps they'll move into exclusive. So this is a Microsoft exclusive,
like a show.
Yeah.
You can't watch it on your PlayStation. I don't know necessarily that they would do that, but they could theoretically.
Well, I mean, they obviously want, if this does go through, they want people to subscribe to Game Pass and they want people to subscribe to Netflix at the same time. So if they want to, create that crowd or, get more people into it, then, but I think they have to sweeten it somehow by either, making it reasonably cheaper, or like you're getting a deal, or you're getting something that you can't get anywhere else.
I think with just the bundling it with Game Pass would make it much sweeter for gamers, and we know that there's a lot of gamers on the planet. For sure. We're in the billions, so there's a lot of us, and I think if they bundle Game Pass in with that, it's just going to sweeten it for other subscribers in other ecosystems like your PlayStation guys. They might be right. Well, I could just. I'm already paying $20 for Netflix. They've dropped the price of Netflix in the Microsoft ecosystem, and I'll get Game Pass as well, so I can play games. And I think Pete, last week you were talking about, and Hargeet in the chat there, how you doing, Hargeet, mentioned that they had 12 billion in profit, Netflix. You've also got to think what kind of ad revenue this is going to pull through for them. But, you know, Netflix has a lot of eyes. So I imagine that advertising would be at a premium. So I think that this deal really does make sense for Microsoft to go ahead with. And again, as we've seen, nothing is off the table with Microsoft. Literally nothing. I think that they could probably buy a small country and no one would be surprised. You know, if it made sense for their bottom line.
Hey, I'd go. Microsoft Island, let's go.
I would be down, yeah.
Well,
So to elaborate really quick, you know, I had to search it just to make sure, but Pete, I don't think that's the case. I don't think you can actually stream any Xbox gaming through PlayStation.
Yeah, Hargeet and Neil just pointed that out to me that it's actually blocked.
Yeah, so they have a web. They do have a built-in web browser, just to say, Hargeet, but it works fine for text, but it struggles with images and video. So, Sony definitely wouldn't want Game Pass on their thing.
No,
like
no,
absolutely. But if it got in on Netflix, like, would they? I think that they actually do make slightly different SKUs of the app for different platforms. So it may just literally be that Game Pass thing would not be allowed on the PlayStation SKU of that app. Which would be really interesting.
Well, when I say bundle, I don't think that they would bundle them together, as in you go into Netflix and then there's a tile for Game Pass. I think that there would be maybe a tile as a link to take you out to Game Pass. I don't see them having Game Pass within the actual Netflix app. I think that would be a hell of a lot of development with a hell of a lot of money involved, and it just wouldn't be worth.
Microsoft has the money, and
I think it definitely wouldn't be.
The case would be that it would streamline it so much that it would be worth it. Because what better way if you just have it there? It's just there, and as Tyler Howard would say, it just works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me and Hargeet spoke about this quite in depth.
Hang on, Pete. I'm just going to go to Dan because Dan was.
Oh no, sorry. It's
no, you're right.
Like I do believe that. Like I agree with Riskit, right? I think that they would keep them separate, but I think that there would be aspects of Game Pass that would wind up on Netflix, right? Because Netflix right now already has certain games that you can play through, like the mobile version, right? Because they keep buying studios, and you can play some of their games through specifically the mobile version of it. And I think that once Xbox and Game Pass specifically got like their cloud streaming working, I could definitely see some smaller indie games that don't necessarily need a controller to be played, right? Something even like As Dusk Falls, or, you know, whatever King makes, right? Like you could stick those on to Netflix and have people play it through, you know, a smart TV or a phone or whatever, right? So I could see something on that level. But like, yeah, I don't think you're going to be seeing Stranger Things and Master Chief next to each other on a bar. Like that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Sorry, Pete, to cut you off there, mate. You were going to say.
No, all good. And the reason why we didn't just say that it was never going to happen is because Microsoft's real competition is Amazon, Google, and Apple. And like you pointed out, Riskit, they all have their own streaming services. And we've seen that Microsoft aren't afraid to go outside of what we think that they generally stick to and make these massive acquisitions. And it would put them in that streaming service market that they're not currently in. And the difference with what you were saying, Daniel, with 2013 and the TV thing is they were making their own production studios at that time, and we've seen Microsoft or Xbox moving away from that now and just outright buying companies that they specifically already like doing. So they just bought ABK, they just bought Bethesda, like things that can manage themselves, that have been running themselves in the background. And I see the Netflix deal as a very similar type of thing to that.
Yeah, well, because remember, before Sean Layden like disappeared into the ether, or whatever the hell happened to him, they actually like moved him off of head of like SIE into being in charge of the department that was going to like turn video game properties into television, which apparently has still continued on perfectly fine without him because they're doing a ton of that. So like they very clearly were like taking those steps years ago, right? I will say though, like, while this Netflix deal would be absolutely huge, I don't know necessarily that it would do anything for me personally. Like, I think that everything that I would want to come out of this deal, you could get without having to purchase the company outright. You know, like if their partnership continues, then Netflix could very easily be transferred from AWS to Azure, right? If that partnership deepens a little bit, or just the fact that they're already going to be in there, like doing advertisement on there, that's going to get a lot more eyes on Xbox, right? And that partnership existing means that it's going to be really easy for them to reach out and talk to somebody like, I don't know who's in charge of Netflix. For some reason, I go to the Duffers because they're the ones who make Stranger Things, but I'm sure they're not actually in charge of the company on any level. But like, they could reach out to them and be like, "Hey, actually, the Coalition would like to make a Stranger Things game," or like, 343 wants to make an Umbrella Academy game, right? Like, I feel like all that partnership can happen without laying $100 billion down on the table.
343 is
Yeah,
and they're already
not
making.
going to touch Umbrella Academy. I will not.
No, they would do a really bad job with
They're
it.
not allowed
so.
to have anything else. Until they get Halo right.
They're not
honestly.
allowed. No.
No.
I do
No.
actually think that if they did something else other than Halo for a while and then came back to it, I think it would be better for everybody.
I think Halo.
Especially for the developers that are working there that have been stuck on the same IP for so long, which is why so many people are leaving, I think, especially right now. And I know we're going to be talking about this topic later, but the industry has just become so open now, and there's so many jobs going, and they're actually there's so much demand for good developers that they are leaking developers. And on the other, what you were saying before, Daniel, Microsoft already has deals with other streaming services to make shows. I'm not sure. Well, Halo was through Paramount. Fallout is coming through Amazon, I believe, and I'm not sure who's
that sounds
making
right.
the
Yeah, I
Gears.
think it's Amazon.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's making Gears. I can't remember.
I think,
Has that been confirmed?
I
I thought that was just a rumor still.
It is rumors at the moment, but I think
Yeah,
343. We'll move on to 343. I think 343 should be sent to their room with no dinner and grounded until they pull their socks up. Anyway.
Daddy risked it.
Moving on to 2343, because that was a good segue in. And look, we've had another major departure from 343, and Pete's just kind of let us know why he thinks that this is. But the lead art director has left after years. I can't remember his name, that he's very well known by. Umbra knows it off by heart. But he said in a Twitter post, "All good things come to an end. After close to 14 years on Halo, I have decided to pursue other opportunities outside Microsoft and 343 Industries. It's been a hell of a ride. Loved every minute of it. Wishing the absolute best to 343. You guys are and always will be amazing," which I think is a little bit of fluff.
Yeah.
I don't think I think it's been a hell of a ride. Definitely. I don't know if anyone leaving that studio would say that they're amazing. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't work for them. But I mean, there's also some other news that's Halo related, and we've got the co-op tech test to talk about too. So I will keep all of these three kind of bundled together. But Jerry Hook is formerly of 343. And he said he's started up a new studio called Jar of Sparks. He said he's excited to announce the new studio is up and running, and our mission is to create a new generation of narrative-driven action games in a new world. This sounds pretty amazing, and from what they're saying, there's a lot of developers from id, a lot of developers from, I think, 343. They're being funded by a Chinese publisher. Which is NetEase. And there's a lot of people, just famous people. There's Greg Stone. There's Steve Dyke. He's worked previously as an animation director for Halo, the NBA Street franchise, which was pretty awesome. Actually, I enjoyed that. So it looks like there's a lot of talent.
And they also have the major Paul Crocker, who served as the lead narrative director on Batman Arkham Trilogy. So
that's the part of this story that has me most interested, because I like those games a lot better, frankly.
Yeah. He came on to Infinite to be the narrative director for I believe for Infinite too. So yeah, he's pretty big. Paul Crocker. That's another big addition to that studio.
I think Jar of Sparks is probably going to end up being a pretty
decent studio.
It's going to be one of those studios that grows into ones that we probably talk about as being very, very, very good. I do think though that it's really funny that they went from 343 named after 343 Guilty Spark and started a studio called Jar of Sparks.
Sparks. Yeah,
Because it's like, we're taking all the sparks and we're putting them over here in this jar.
Nice.
You know, I
didn't
think that
think
could
about
be
that.
a really interesting. I think it will be a really interesting. I think lots of interesting things will come out of it, because you literally have all of these very I'm losing my words today. Very
like
well
tenured.
seasoned,
Yeah.
very well seasoned developers who have, you know, this fountain of knowledge all coming together. Like I can see amazing things coming out of this.
However, caveat, because while you were talking, Mr. McGee and Umbra and Doomy, one studio was going through my mind, The Initiative, and that was a studio full of just like talent to the brim, touted by themselves in a job posting as quadruple A. And
That was a fault. That was by mistake, though. To be fair.
Yeah, but we know kind of what's come out of that studio, so I think it is probably prudent to be a little bit cautious when saying this.
Yeah, but these guys are experienced.
Yep. So was the Initiative, Doomy. The Initiative had like
I will
the
go to
top
bat for
talent
the Initiative,
from
though.
everyone.
You know, I think that it's that sort of situation where, you know, they're taking all these really big name people from top level studios, and they're all creative types, and they're slamming them together into one room and saying, okay, and now go, right? Like there's going to be headbutting, there's going to be people who don't really fit in, right? So a lot of the, like all the departures that we've seen from them, I don't necessarily think that that's surprising or even necessarily a bad thing, because there's going to be some people who probably don't fit in there and probably shouldn't, right? So honestly, I do think that once the Initiative actually gets going and starts making games, then they're going to do really great things. I don't think Perfect Dark is going to be that, because it's not really being made by them at this point.
No, they said they're doing a brand new generation of narrative-driven action games.
So but I do think once the Initiative actually like gets going, they're going to be a massive studio. The biggest problem that I have with them, because I don't think the Initiative has a management problem. I think that they just have growing pains. I think that their problem is that they were.
Hang on a minute, Mr. McGee.
Yeah.
Growing pains is like losing 5 developers. Growing pains is definitely not losing more than half your studio. That's 70 developers.
Well, it wasn't
to begin
half.
with.
I think it was like a third. But yeah, it was the.
No, they lost 40 something developers out of 70. They turned over.
I mean, that's what we're seeing on LinkedIn, and I don't even know if those numbers are accurate, because we were looking at, because I was reading that article at the time that was coming out, and they could only name like 2 of them, and it was uncorroborated anywhere else. So I'm not sure if I 100% trust those numbers, but even so, like when you take all of these people and you put them in a high stress environment, right? You're taking people who have worked on some of the best teams in the industry, and you're saying, hey, you are going to make a game that is better than any of that, with a brand new team that you've never worked with before. You probably don't know most of these people. Like everything that studio is doing, they're doing for the first time as a studio, right? So it's going to be really difficult for them. And yes, it's been problematic, right? But the fact of the matter is, I think the biggest problem is that we know that the Initiative exists. They should not have announced that the Initiative was being built, because as soon as they announced that the Initiative was being built, when they had not even hired people yet, right? They had like Gallagher, and that was pretty much it. And so they announced that this studio is being made, and everyone immediately goes, okay, well, what game are they making, right? Because they announced it at E3 that they were making this studio, and so reasonably everyone was like, where's the product, right? And so, you know, they have to like find a location, hire all these people, come up with an idea, then make the game, then find support studios to help them with the game. Like it's so much work, right? It's unrealistic to think that they could possibly even have a game ready at this point. Like we should not have known that the Initiative existed, and even furthermore, they should not have announced that they were working on Perfect Dark. They should have just been quietly making this team until they were ready to actually show something. I think that's the bigger problem.
I can agree with that. You know, even despite that, like even if those team members left the way they did, it does obviously would send a red flag to anybody, right? Like that's a lot of people that left. But the bigger thing for me is that you have a quality lead and you have a quality studio in Crystal Dynamics that stepped up and stepped into place. So I think Perfect Dark actually will be good ultimately. I don't know if it'll be what Gallagher envisioned it to be initially, but I think it will turn out to be a good game. And I trust Crystal Dynamics when they're on a personal, like, excuse me, when they're on a project that is well led. And Gallagher is one of the greats, so I can see that coming out pretty nicely. And it's his old team, so I have faith in that project. I'm wondering what happens after that, though. I'm also wondering what is the initiative's entire goal past Perfect Dark. Is that I hope they're not going to be some dedicated studio just to that. I pray that's not the case. And I'm guessing they'll be probably using them to either create new IP or modernize and bring forth, old IP. I'm hoping it's more of that, the latter, than that, because it would be a waste just to have them on that. It's the same symptom that, super talented studios like the Coalition face. It's like, now we know that they're working on something else, at least outside of Gears, and that's a blessing, because for the longest, everybody was complaining, like, why are they only stuck on Gears? They're being wasted. And not to say that we don't love Gears, because we do, but they're not being underutilized. And you look at the competition in Sony and how they do what they do with like Naughty Dog or with Insomniac, and it's like they're very limited on what they could do here on the Xbox side of things. So I do hope that the initiative, as well as the Coalition, and I would have said 343 before, but they have to show that they can get their stuff out currently before they can do anything else. But I do hope that the more capable studios work on more than just that one franchise going forward, at least with the super big studios like the initiative is growing to be, or even with Playground. I hope Playground does more too.
I think when any developer works in a studio and you just you're slogging it out on one horse for a long time, I think a lot of these people can get a bit restless. Do you think that's the case? And that's the reason why they sort of break away?
That's why Bungie left, right? Is because they didn't want to work on Halo anymore.
So true. And I think we kind of look at it like, why would they care? They're making a game we love, and we kind of ignore the other element of that creativity. They're creatives at the end of the day. They're artists. They're going to want to make something, new art. I can imagine. So I can definitely see fatigue.
I'm sure they didn't enter this industry to just make the lighting or the the whatever in one game for the rest of their life, so I think people like to dramatize a lot of this. They're moving away, or like they're trying to say nice things because maybe there was some drama or something like that. But I genuinely think that 9 times out of 10 these people are moving away from studios so they can do something greater for themselves.
Yeah, well, look, and like, that it could be construed as that, absolutely, Doomy, but in other circumstances. But you look at the circumstances that surround 343. There's been a mass exodus of a lot of their leads, like a lot of their leads. I couldn't go through the list because there's too many of them. But it's up to, I think it's up to it's up to about 6, maybe even 7. We're getting close to like double digits here with the amount of leads that have left Halo, and that has seemed to have happened since Joe Staten's come back to the studio, come back to the franchise.
I think he's cleaning house.
And it does seem very much like he's cleaning house. I think he's going through these people and saying, if you're not gelling with me, you're not gelling with the team, and I'll see you later. I wanted to get to this, but yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, Doomy, because that's what I think. I think Joe is going through basically swinging his deck around and slapping leads out of the studio. And look, we've seen some of the change in attitude in the studio. We know that change needs to happen. They had a very staunch, and this wasn't a formal directive, but they had a very staunch directive of not hiring former Bungie leads into the studio. And they have seemingly recently brought in a Bungie lead. I can't remember the guy's name. So it seems that things are changing behind the scenes. And I think at the end of the day, this bodes well for 343. I think we're a long way off a point where we can see, I can only speak for myself. I'm a long way off being able to trust 343 as a studio, especially to handle Halo. Yep. However, Halo, as I've said many, many times, is a great game. And I'm just going to jump into the tech test here a little bit. Myself, Umbra, and Pete spent a fair bit of time, obviously killing each other and playing the Halo co-op tech test. It's mostly my experience is mostly positive. I had an absolute ball playing it, and I will continue to play it until that tech test ends. And when it comes out in the main game, I'll be playing it. However, I hate to go to the negative. We're always the negative with 343, but I have to say it. There's
it's hard not to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of bugs in this tech test. It was delayed by a day, not a big delay, but we're talking about a game that's now what? A year. So this game was supposed to co-op was supposed to launch a year and 8 months ago, nearly 9 months ago. So where the hell was that at? A year and 9 months ago. Like, I don't even think you could have developed that. There's still so many bugs in it. Like, it's a great experience. I am not shitting on co-op at all. It was a great experience. It still needs work. And I'm surprised that after all this time, it still needs work. Like, it's unbelievable. They've had a year and 9 months to get their shit together, and they just seemingly can't do it. It should be a flawless experience. When multiplayer launched, it was almost flawless, and I will definitely give them that. They obviously still have their problems, and they've done a couple of updates that have shifted things around. And obviously the melee's broken, and there's a few different things in it like that cause issues. But overall, when the multiplayer launched, it was an extremely positive experience. We've had a lack of content. We've talked about that, so we're blue in the face. Now we're getting the content. I was just really surprised at the amount of bugs in the game. However, again, I'm going to take it back to the positive and say I had a really good experience with Halo Co-op. I'm really happy with what they're doing and what they've done. And I honestly can't wait to see what they do with Forge. And I can't wait to get back into the Halo Co-op tech test. So that when me, Pete, and Jedi align again, and even Doomy, if she wants to jump in, I know you're in Forza, Hot Wheels at the moment. You're in that world. But I can't wait to get back to it. It's really, really good. I advise anyone who has not played the tech test or is a bit iffy, get a friend, jump in, and you will have a ball. It's amazing. One more thing I'll say before I go to the panel. There was a lot of talk about the distance, the tethering distance. It's more than enough. We were testing it out. We were messing around with it to see how far you could go before it started to kill you or drag you along. And it's more than enough. It's a huge distance, and I don't think that is a problem at all. I'm not worried, but we'll see what happens when we get the when we get the wasp, and we're all trying to fly our own wasps in different directions.
Yeah, that's the biggest test for me is like what happens once we get to the part where it's flying aircraft and such. I was going to say though, I imagine Staten going into the office and clearing people out like we were talking about cleaning house. Can you imagine him walking in like a guy on Office Space? What's his name? Bill Lumberg. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you could just close your computer and leave, that would be great.
I was imagining a full like Will Smith Wild Wild West, just like you're gone.
Underrated movie, by the way. Underrated so movie, good. By the way. I love that movie. I'm sorry.
He's just like knocking coffee cups off the table, like get out of, get your shit, get out of here, little it's tiny dude.
Funny, dude. Yeah, he's a small little guy, and it's always funny because he's such a nice, seems like a nice guy. Same like Phil, but I imagine behind the scenes they're probably like you. Get out of here, and
yeah, I mean, at some point they have to be, the boss. So absolutely that happens.
I can
Let me
say
ask you
that
this though, Risk It specifically, because 343 has done a lot of messing up lately, and maybe since their inception, honestly. But what would they have to do to what do you think they should do, and what would they have to do to earn the trust back? For you,
they have to be competent, man. The thing is, just like right now, it seems like it feels like at least like incompetency, and it's just the optics, really. If you look at the bones, like we've always said it, we all maintain it. The bones are there. The bones are solid. Like there's no denying that the game is still fun to play. If you do, like we do a community game night, we got to get you to jump in with us sometime. By the way, Danny, we do a community game night, and we'll have fun for hours. It's not even a question. But imagine how much greater that would be with more maps, more modes, and Forge being there so people can do all types of creative stuff. Imagine how much greater that game would have been. I mean, it will get there. That's the beauty of it. But it's clearly, like I said, it has the bones there. It's just the fact that it's lacking content so magnificently, and then it's like every little thing just adds to that ire that people have for 343 at the moment. And it just feels like they can't get right. It's really what it is. I think it's just it's like the attrition. It's funny to say, seeing how it's a
Yeah.
game mode, but it's the
I don't know
attrition of
if
these things.
I don't know if you saw Umbra, but there was a leak yesterday, I believe, and this game Halo. I know, I know we weren't going to hate on Umbra, but I saw this yesterday, and this I thought was a joke. It cost you about 1 GB of your data to play 2 games. Now they thought it was actually the game playing the game, but no, it's 83 megabytes per game. When you load back into the UI's 300 megabytes. It reloads the battle pass and everything in the UI about 2,000 times every time you leave the
Wow.
game.
Jesus
And it
Christ.
costs you 1 GB like download. So if you've got a cap on with your internet service provider, you can very easily go over that because 2 games cost you 1 GB. It's
Wow.
just insanity. Like, why
Did
does
not
it
know
need
that.
to load it? Yeah, it's just recently come to light that that's the case, and I don't know if when they did the fix to make the UI load quicker, that's a consequence of that. But 2,000 times it reloads it
That's
and
insane, man.
reloads it and reloads it. Ridiculous.
The
Maybe
beautiful
Rough
thing
Rider
about my
Justice State
internet,
needs to rock on over to that department.
exactly. Like, yeah, if you can get these servers correct, that would be great. But yeah, the thing about it, like for me, is I have ridiculously great internet, so I haven't had the issue with the cap, fortunately. But I can only imagine those of you who do have that, like you said, Pete, that would be terrible to imagine that you out of internet space already at like one game. Like, wait a minute, where's my internet? So yeah, that would suck. Your internet that start just going down and slow. But I was going to say though, just to kind of elaborate just a bit more on that, is that Steph said it too, and we've maintained that here, and ultimately we don't know, right? What issues are causing 343 to go astray, but I think the common thought is that you go from the head, right? You have to start at the head, and that would be Bunny Ross. And it's just one thing after another, and it feels like something is not being relayed right, at least those in charge. And I think I'm not alone where people feel like maybe make Staten the head of the studio in general. And she doesn't have to be fired. She's a longtime Microsoft employee outside of 343, but maybe move her around to something else. Maybe that's just the case. Maybe she's the vision of what Halo is and what it has become has outgrown her. That's possible.
I feel bad for Jerry Hook because he was one of the people that were working there that were constantly giving feedback to the community and then taking that feedback back to Microsoft. And we could actually see him implementing a lot of the changes that the community wanted. And so I think more than anyone there, he was doing a better job of actually interacting with the community because I think that was one of their major problems. We just wouldn't hear from them for ages,
Yeah.
and he was like the go between
Yeah.
the community and 343 itself. Now, I do
And
like
just
the
to say,
name of the
Pete, and
studio.
Hook, by the way, just to add, Hook is an Xbox legend. He helped get Xbox Live itself started. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly, and I think it's a bit of a throwing a little bit of shade with the studio that he's moved to, with that name. Like you said, he's taking the Sparks with him. So all this is unfortunate. I don't know if he was moved on by Joe. I think that Joe does have a lot of autonomy to do what he wishes there now. And maybe they just weren't gelling together, which is strange because they used to work with each other in the past, and they've worked. It seems that they worked with each other quite well. So yeah, that was it's another blow to 343. Unfortunately, I agree with you also, Riskit, when you said there's a lot of problems with the beta. I can't see this launching in a month. There's just too many bugs to quash. Yes, when you're inside of the game and everybody's, it's great. It's so much fun. We were playing with Wolf, and when you hit a button to interact with a cutscene, he was in a tank at the time. The whole tank game inside a building because he was in the tank at the time. And so we were just stuck there. The whole tank was there. I mean, just ridiculous things like that I mean, I get it. I get that it's a playground and I get that these things kind of make the game, really fun, but it's also just utter stupidity, you know.
Yeah,
So
I give it leeway though because it's the beta and it might be an
Yeah.
older build for all we know. You know what I mean? So I give it leeway there. I think the biggest thing for me is just did it feel like Halo? Yes, and I think we can all agree there. Myself, you and Risk could all agree. It felt fun. We had some of the best fun of gaming that week in general playing that game together, and it felt like Halo. It felt like classic Halo. Even the things with the sandbox allow with, you know, Wolf getting the tank up top inside of the banished stronghold like he did. That wasn't a cutscene. He just literally drove the tank on there and into the lift and it lifted up. So stuff like that, that really did help as far as, just allowing the freedom. The freedom of it is
Sometimes
what I
the
love.
bugs help.
Sometimes the bugs help. Exactly. So I'm not too mad about it. And it being the beta. I know the beta, rather, they're going to get it right as far as that goes. I think it's
it was
there.
pretty frustrating, but Umbra, when we were playing and we were having a great time, and then the host died, and so it goes into that, or
Yeah.
we all died, and then it goes into that loading
Yep.
screen. I mean, what,
I think they'll
75%
fix
of the
that.
time we'd have to
Yeah,
back out of the
that's true.
game before we could
That's
get back
true.
in. And I mean, because you are having such a great time, like I said earlier in the show, the best time I've had in gaming, like just incredibly fun. It just takes away from that experience that you're having, and that's frustrating.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I hear you on that. I hear you on that. I mean, but like that's the thing I say, like even those things that we saw that were like clearly bugs, like for instance, I got stuck in a warthog and could not get out and had to be like killed to get out of the thing.
I
So
remember
things
that.
like that. Yeah, or
We
like you
have
said, the
no
screen
problem
freezing, all of us
killing
die.
you to get you out of something. That's
We
absolutely
know
fine.
we know that you do not.
Yeah, we had to repulse him to the edge to
Right.
get him out.
Oh, jeez.
MJ just wanted to take a picture, and it honestly took 10 minutes for him to get a picture. It was just one bug after another. Wolf
Yeah.
was like stuck up in the air about
Yeah.
100 meters up. Just,
I forgot
just-
about
just
that part.
Flying
Yeah, he
there.
started flying on us.
Yeah, look, some of the
But, like,
bugs
those
were
things are gonna get
hilarious.
squashed,
Like
though.
some of the bugs are really funny. But if you
Yeah.
think about it, and I understand that the 343 has not done an open world before, so that would be a bit of a different development skew for them, and there'd be a lot of learnings for them to learn. But when you've got a year and 8 months, to really knuckle down and get co-op ready to go, something that should have been there at launch. There's that again. That's a serious issue. The bugs aren't minor. Let's put it that way. And yes, Umbra, it could be an older build, but I don't think it's that much of an older build. And
I don't either.
I agree with Pete, and I think and I said this about Battlefield 2042 famously, not really famously because no one gave a shit at the time, but I was right. I was 110% right. You cannot fix those bugs in the amount of time that Battlefield gave itself to release. And I'm telling you now, you can't fix these bugs in the amount of time that they are supposed to be releasing co-op. They need another 6 months to fix this. And if they release it like this, it's going to be more bad press for 343. And I don't want that for them. I don't want it for Halo, and I don't want it for the developers who are already probably so beaten down by everyone shitting on them all the time, and rightly so, with reason. But like, I don't want it for them. I think it's enough is enough. You know what I mean? Just take the time you need and get it right, man. You've already released it. Cat's out of the bag. Like, just get it right. Do another tech test. Do another tech test. Do another tech test until you get it right, and then release it. Doomy, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, so you're saying it's rubbish, but it's fun rubbish.
Well, it's not. No, it's definitely not rubbish. It's just extremely buggy. It's not buggy unplayable, but it's buggy to the point that it takes you out of the experience, and you don't want that as a developer, and you don't want that as a gamer. So I think that's definitely something. If they can get it to a point where they've squashed at least 50% of those bugs, I think it's releasable. But I still don't think that they should. I think that they should give it another 6 months. I think that at that point, they should be. Well, I mean, most developers maybe
I
a
don't
year.
think it needs that much time though, Risk. I don't think it. From what we played, I don't think it needs that much time. I think the issues that it had, it was just rubber banding, which was the freezing at the loading screen if we all die, and a few other miscellaneous little things. I think those are things that could be squashed within a few months. Honestly speaking, I just don't think it takes that 6 months for that to be fixed, and everything
Hopefully,
else works fine.
but in saying that, how long did it take them to fix the battle rifle not being able to reload, or it would be firing blanks? Just for that bug, it took them 3 weeks. So I just think that this engine is incredibly difficult to work with. I think that
But
it's.
are you saying
basically-
that was just for that one bug though, or was it for that and other
It
bugs?
was just that one bug, the battle rifle issue that was happening. It took them
Right.
3 weeks to fix that one bug, which was just incredibly disappointing. And another thing I'd like to point out, Wolf, is even though we were having such a great time playing, he's going to delete the game out of his system because it's just causing so many problems for his Xbox. So I think your UI wasn't working. I believe it was what made my controller break, although it's fixed now. Party chat system just stopped working. So having to get back into the Insider program has also caused an abundance of, all these other issues that, yes, I want to play Halo, but do I want it to cause my Xbox to be having all these problems at the same time? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't really answer that question. All I can. I haven't deleted the game. So I suppose that in itself answers the question. That's how fun Halo is. But it's definitely a problem.
Yeah,
We'll see how they go approach with it. I don't think I don't think it's going to take that long. I'm telling you, I think the co-op is going to release within the next 2 months, in my opinion.
I mean, you're
I
talking
think
about a studio that like from history wise can't get their shit together efficiently.
Yeah.
I think it needs to, Umbra, because you launch co-op, you launch Forge, you get the community working for you, making maps. I mean, we've seen I know we're not going to talk about it this week because we have a special guest next week. Check that out, guys. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic show. But the leaks that Forge has shown look amazing. What you can do in Forge looks amazing, and it can really revitalize this game. And if these two things launch side by side, I really think that Halo can, really be lifted up. And I hope that really happens. I really do.
Yeah, look, me too. I wish nothing but the best for Halo, and I want nothing but the best from Halo. But look, we've been on Halo again. Every week we're on Halo. We love it. We hate it. We're all about it. We'll move on to our next topic, which is Discord coming to Halo. It's coming to Halo. Jesus, I've got Halo on the brain. Discord coming to Xbox. This is awesome. This is something that I've been waiting for
Praise
for
be.
a really long time. I haven't actually got access to it. I'm not in the tier that allows. I'm an Xbox insider. I'm not in the tier that allows it. I did try to get into it, but I cannot actually get into it, so I don't know how it works. The only thing I've seen about it and on how it works is, and you got to understand, it's in its early phase. It's in Insider program. They're struggling to get mic support for Discord to support the headsets on the Xbox. But that's the only negative thing I've seen about this. I think this is awesome. This is another step for Xbox to bring and PC to become a closer community. I think Xbox's directive or where they've been heading for a long time has been to bring those two communities together and make them as one and keep the communication and all the UI between each community pretty seamless. So, you're able to have friends anywhere that you want to play. And I think this is only a good thing. For Xbox, Cutie, I'll go to you because I know that you have a PC and you're excited about this.
I can tell you right now, relying on party chats has been difficult when playing games like Forza and Fortnite with my PC gaming friends, because I love playing with them. They have a whole different vibe than my Xbox friends. I don't have any PS5 friends. All my PS5 friends are my Xbox friends. But anyway, so yeah, I think it'll be so much better when I'm able to just go on Discord. I'm able to interact there rather than having to, switch between party chats. And I'm sure people who stream at the same time, it's going to be much easier for them to manage their audio as well. So I see many, many great things. I'm not an Xbox insider, so I don't have access to it. But I'm really looking forward to when it does launch and when we can all play together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the moment, I think Xbox Party Chat is extremely buggy though as well. So there's a bit of issues with the UI that I've seen in Xbox lately. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it in the chat. Let us know if you have seen a few more issues than normal with your UI, because I'd be very, very interested. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And Daniel, are you excited to see Discord come to Xbox?
So not really, honestly. It's
He's like,
it's
nah,
one
I
of
don't
those-
care.
I mean, yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's really big, it's really important for people who are partying up with people across different platforms. It just doesn't really make any sense for my particular use case, because I basically exclusively use Discord for my parties, right? I'm never using the Xbox Live parties. And being able to do that through my Xbox theoretically would be cool, but it's going to be strictly chat, I think. And most of what we're doing, we'll be like playing Sea of Thieves or Halo or whatever, and we'll be talking, and then like one of our other friends will come in and they'll like drop some video from YouTube and we'll watch that, right? So it's the fact that the chat aspect of it isn't going to be there, like it's going to be strictly voice, means that I'm probably not going to do it much, if at all, right? But I do think it's really important for people who don't do that.
How do you hear your game and Discord at the same time?
I just have the TV on, and then I'll use earbuds to my laptop.
Oh, okay. I thought you had some sort of like magic, like
no, it's all ghetto
switch.
out here.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. All ghetto.
Yeah,
cool.
It's we don't go high tech out here in the boonies. But it's that's what we'll do. I do think that it's really important. Obviously, like it's really cool. And the thing that confuses me about it is that this is not a thing on PlayStation yet, but PlayStation was the one who had the deal with Discord. Like they bought a portion of Discord, I think, even. But this is not, like, you cannot connect Discord chat to your PlayStation presently. So it's very weird to me that Xbox somehow like scooped in and got in there first.
Yeah, I did find it kind of a bit odd because, but there was a talk about, Microsoft buying Discord at one point, was it not? So I think it's obvious they've been talking in the background for quite some time, and maybe that's where that rumor came from. Umbra, are you excited about seeing Discord come to Xbox?
Yeah, man, I think it's a nice improvement. I mean, it's something that was already touted for the PlayStation to have, and it seems like Xbox got the jump on them and got it out first. Which is funny, but it opens the door for a lot of cross-platform talk and chatter too. So we can talk with our PlayStation buddies and fellow hooved friends on the other side, as well as people on the master race PC, and talk with them all at the same time. I think it's a lot of progression in that way. Also, as I don't know if I'm alone, but have you all ever tried using the Xbox like Game Pass or Xbox app in general and tried to get on a party chat, and it typically is like horrible? So that's me. I'll get on there and it's like everybody's like, get off, get out of here. They'll kick me out because it sounds terrible. Well, now that you have Discord, I generally rather sound decent through Discord. So I can imagine talking through Discord and on a party chat, and that would alleviate a lot of that. So I think it's a good progression in all over. And Discord is just better overall, I think, honestly, just as far as those things go. It opens the door for a lot of different things that we can do. Even podcast wise, there's a lot of things you can do from that. So I think it's interesting. I'll say that much. I don't know if I'm excited, but I'm interested in it.
Yeah, I'm extremely interested in seeing how it works, because I know that when people jump into party chat from PC, they kind of struggle to connect, or it's quiet, or it's crackly. So I think it can only be a really good thing. But look, we'll move on to the next topic. Before we do, please hit that like button, share it out, subscribe, let a friend know that we go live every week, Friday, 8 p.m. EST. Or if you're in Australia, we go live at 10 a.m. Australia, AEST. God, that's terribly hard to say when you get a sore throat. Look, we're going to move on to the massive topic of the week that everyone's been battling it out about, and I've kind of been holding till the end. But The Last of Us remake. We've got to talk about this. I mean, I know it's been a bit of a topic of conversation since the announcement at the PlayStation. Was it? No, it wasn't the PlayStation State of Play. One of the shows. Doesn't matter. Listen, we spoke on this, Boom, McG, and myself and Umbra earlier in the week, and some more things have come out. There has been a leak, and then since then, PlayStation has done a bit of a deep dive into The Last of Us, showing us the graphical improvements. But what isn't improved and what they touted that they had improved was the gameplay. Now, listen, I'll caveat here and say the AI is apparently much improved. They're using the AI from The Last of Us too. I don't know how much of a difference that would make to the game. But listen, this is my opinion, and then I'll go to the panel. You're making a game that's going, well, you're not even making a game. You're developing a game that's going straight to production. There's 2 steps before they normally get to production. There's like planning, concept, the iteration of concept, where they'll make demos to see what works, what fits, what mechanics. There's a lot of work that goes into the early planning stages of a game. And when you're doing a remake, especially this close to its recent re-release, you are saving yourself a ridiculous amount of money if you look at it from that point of view. So PlayStation's main reason for upping the cost of their games was due to having to more development time, games becoming more expensive. That narrative is absolutely destroyed. You cannot say that about The Last of Us remake. You've got asset placement, level design, straight to production. There's a lot of people you don't have to hire. You've got mocap, acting. All these things are done, ready for you to just go straight into production. And even some of that production's cut out of it. So for them to charge $70, especially this close to the recent release, and yes, also not launching with half of the game, the multiplayer section, this is 110% a cash grab. I've even seen a lot of the PlayStation community kick up about this, and I think Sony needs to open their ears, open their eyes, and look at how they're starting to be seen amongst the community, and not just by the Xbox community, but by everyone largely. The casuals, as well as the hardcore PlayStation fans, aren't happy about what we're seeing. I will add a last caveat. I will probably get this game when it drops in price. If I can pick it up on a deal or cheap, I will definitely get it and play through it again, because I thought whilst playing it that it would really benefit from a graphical update. And I think it will. But for $70, you've got to be kidding me. Look, I'll go to you, Mr. McG. What are your thoughts on the recent leaks? I assume you've seen them, the PlayStation deep dive, and Sony charging $70 for a remake the 3rd time, I believe, with half of the game chopped out of it.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't think any of this is surprising. PlayStation does this sort of thing all the time, right? They're when they came out at, I think it was Summer Game Fest, it was like the opening night of whatever, it was Jeff Keighley's thing, and they were talking about like how it was going to be improved over the previous remake of it, even though this game's only been out for like 10 years. There's now a 3rd version of it. And all he could talk about was like, oh, well, we're going to apply the AI that we learned from 2. And it's like, okay, but like, it's going to be the same game. Like the animations are going to be exactly the same. You're going to put a new skin on it and maybe add like 1 or 2 things. It's going to be the same game, right? The fact that they're selling it for $70 is ludicrous, right? Nobody else in the industry would realistically think that was an okay thing to do, but the PlayStation audience has trained PlayStation in like a Skinner box sort of way to be able to do that. The PlayStation audience, it's one of the reasons why I skew towards Xbox, because I do really like both platforms. I love the games that PlayStation makes, right? But the reason that I find myself engaging more with the Xbox community is because the Xbox community is willing to say when they are not happy with something. They are willing to request better, and PlayStation fans seem to just not do that. They will accept the fact that the games cost $10 more. They will cap for games that absolutely have no reason to be capped for, right? They will come out and they will be in massive defense for something like Death Stranding, and it'll be like, oh, did you play it? Like, did you finish it? Oh, no, well, no. And it's like, okay, all right, sure. Just defend anything they do, right? We'll be hearing about people complaining online about like, oh, there's all these problems at Xbox Studios, and then completely ignore the fact that PlayStation is currently in like their third lawsuit of the year, 2 of which were for sexual harassment, and this third one is because apparently they're covering up something that like causes the systems to brick. But we won't talk about that, right? Like that's not a thing that's being talked about on social media or anything, right? It's just being completely forgotten about. So no, I'm not at all surprised that PlayStation correctly knows that they can charge $70 for minimum work and get away with it. Like, it's the most unsurprising thing in the world to me. There is a part of me that does wonder if the reason that they're doing so is because Last of Us 2 underperformed. Basically every one of their like really big, massive games tends to get pretty close to 20 million. And Last of Us 2, for one reason or another, only got to like 10,
12,
I believe it was.
12 million.
Sure did.
12, right? So
Was it 10
there's
for
several
a long
million. Yeah, so there's millions of sales that they probably thought that they would have gotten on Last of Us 2 that they didn't. And I wonder if this is just a way of making up those losses, which is in a way clever, but also very transparent. Like, I don't know. My biggest question going forward from this is just how they're going to try and cover it up. Because they do this all the time, right? Is something bad will happen with one of their games before it comes out, and they will find something to pin the blame on so that they can be like, oh, only fake people are complaining about this. They did it with Spider-Man with the puddles, where they put out 2 different trailers and they looked completely different. And then all anybody wanted to talk about on like the big name journalists, all that, all they want to talk about was, oh, the puddles are different. That's all that people are mad about. And it's like, no, the textures are completely different. The suit looks like shit now. Like, it looks much, much worse than it did before. They did the same thing with Last of Us 2, where they were like, the whole thing got leaked, and then they were like, oh, people just don't like this game because it's about women. And it's like, no, people don't like this game because the story is bad. They did the exact
Right.
same. They do the exact same thing in their film department. They did it for the Ghostbusters movie, where they were like, "Oh, people only don't like this movie because it's about women." And it's like, no, there are plenty of fantastic stories told by and about women. Like, that is not the problem here. The problem here is that you made a comedy movie that's not funny. Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, you're deflecting onto these other things because you know that it makes it lose credibility.
Oh, and racist.
Yeah,
Racist.
like they just
Right,
deflect
isn't it? Yeah.
these problems onto other things that are bigger issues in the real world, but are not what 90% of people are talking about, because they can go in there and they can find those 2 dickheads who are like, Abby is too buff. I don't like buff women. And it's like, okay, but like also the story is bad. Like, that's the real problem here.
They killed the main character, like that
Right.
everybody loved, and then they expect
Spoilers,
you to
Pete.
feel, and then they expect you to feel sorry for the person that killed the guy that you love.
Oh yeah, and get ready to
It's
do
a
that again,
hot
because
take
Atreus
here,
is
guys.
100% going to kill Kratos in Ragnarok. Just get ready for that. That's happening.
Yeah, we talked about that in the great
oh.
in the green room with the Kratos thing. We'll maybe jump onto that after this. But yeah, look, you've been pretty scathing there of PlayStation. I'll move to Umbra, and I think Mr. McGee's just about covered absolutely everything that you could possibly say.
Sorry.
Why
No,
we
you're
got him
good.
on.
I have more.
Why we got
I
him
have
on.
more to
He's
say.
the man.
Oh no, you did a good job, but I got some more to add to that. The thing about it is,
Oh.
it's cash. It's a cash grab. Let's just be clear. It is what it is. And I stay by this. I've maintained this for a while. Like, you all have heard me. I said it's unnecessary to exist. I don't think it needs to. Even for those who would say, "Well, I've never played it before." The remaster is more than good enough. This right here is nothing but a cash grab. It does not need to be $70. That's the biggest issue, is that they dare to charge $70 for a game that is only visually improved. They took out a feature that the original had. They don't have it here. So why are you charging such a premium for this game? It makes no sense, no logical sense, except to say that it's just them getting over. They don't need to do this. Naughty Dog is not hurting. Sony is not hurting. Gaming, as we know, is much more widespread. It's selling much more than they've ever sold. There's right here is nothing more than them getting over on people. Now, they spoke on these gameplay improvements, and we saw these one-to-one comparisons, and it's the exact same gameplay. There's nothing that has changed there. It just looks visually superior. That's it. So this is no more than a remake, or excuse me, a remaster of a remaster. That's exactly what it is. It comes down to be. And Palpatine said it just right. And I've heard others say this as well in the community. If this was Xbox and they have done this, they would have been destroyed by the press, right? Not only that, but Xbox gives you these types of things for free with smart delivery, whereas you're going to get charged a premium on PlayStation. To me, that's the biggest issue that I have with things like this, is that, for one, it does not need to exist. And since it does exist, why is it that much? You can go back and look at Halo, for instance, or hell, you can go back and look at Gears Ultimate. Look at Gears Ultimate. That's a remaster of it. It's beautiful. They did a great job with that. You still got everything included with that. And I think the game launched at $40. So why is that okay? Why is it acceptable that, yeah, you get all of that for that low price, but with this, it's okay that you should have to pay $70? I was in a space this past week with a lot of Sony fanboys. It was hosted by a guy named Chris Righteous. And Chris, I'll give him his credit, he called it out. He said exactly what it was. He said this is a cash grab. He's been on that horse for a while saying this. He has not changed his stance, much to the chagrin of the PlayStation guys who don't like hearing any negatives or criticism of Sony, and it's not unique to them, but I'm just saying that they don't like it. So he called it out. They had a good space about it, and it got extremely volatile where people were making threats and cursing each other out and all these other types of things. PlayStation fans, I've said it before, are probably some of the most loyal fans that there are, but also to their own detriment. And I think, and I say this, and I don't want to hold them accountable solely for the advent or the increase of games going to 70, but Sony is the lead market share leader. If the case is that Sony fans rejected that $70 price tag, all these other studios would have done the same. EA could not justify going to 70. Activision could not justify going to 70. You know what I mean? If the fans would have said, no, we're not paying that, that would have been the end of that. They'd have to change course. So my biggest issue is you're getting just a prettier game. It's the exact same gameplay. Nothing else has changed. And they're still charging you 70. That's not cool. I don't care who tries to say it is at all. I know they're going to say, well, we got nice accessibility options, and your controller might vibrate a little bit with the nice little features the DualSense have with the adaptive triggers. That's not good enough. Not for me, at least. And it should not be good enough for a lot of PlayStation fans. That's just my personal thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with just about everything you guys have said. I except for this doesn't need to be done. I'm happy for them to do a remaster. But you do this remaster, you put it out about, look, $40. And that's fine by me. I got no problem.
They should have done Risk
I'll pay that. Yeah.
So they should have added it
to PS Plus.
To The Last of Us 2.
Or they should have added it to PS Plus.
Free for $70. That's what I think.
If they added it to PS Plus, that would have been perfect. I think that would have made the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Yep.
The thing about it even is like the Naughty Dog, or specifically Last of Us fan base, is so okay with just getting whatever they can be given and paying whatever it is for it, right? Like Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2, they completely stripped out the multiplayer, which people, I remember distinctly, consistently, I mean, I never played the multiplayer of it, but people consistently would come to arguments online about like, oh, PlayStation doesn't have multiplayer, with like, oh, the factions is amazing. And it's like, okay, well, it's not into, like, they said originally it was supposed to be, and then they cut it out and are now making it a full game, and they're going to charge you full price for it, pretty much guarantee. And people were okay with that. People didn't say anything about that at all. They were fine with it. Now that's going to be a full game, and they're re-releasing the first game without half of the game for full price again, having changed nothing other than visuals. And people are okay with that because PlayStation makes good games, and they don't have the backbone or the ability to stand up for themselves to say, I'm not okay with this. Like, it's ridiculous.
It is. And me and Risky, we had a disagreement on this. I remember I was like, nah, this game, nah, man. This shouldn't exist. You shouldn't be buying it, blah, blah, blah. That was my thought. Remember, I said that to you, Risk. And you were like, nah, man, I think it's, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, the biggest issue is the price. If they would have sold it for like, say, 40, I would never have said anything. I'm like, okay, cool. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Not
agree.
70.
I think it's worth 40 with the work that they did. And I was really worried about the visuals when I originally saw them. I actually thought that the remaster that they did for the PS4 was better until I watched the deep dive that they did, I think, the other night. It's on YouTube. You can check it out after the show. I thought that it actually did look beautiful. So they have done a good job with that. The animations are the same. I agree with Risk. The animations are the same. The motion capture, it's all there. It's not worth $70. They've taken factions out. It's a cash grab, no more than that. And the difference between what Xbox is doing with auto HDR and FPS boost is just stark.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think this has a $70 price tag. It's ridiculous. And I don't know, was it, I can't even think it's an oversight that, we're just charging $70 for every game, and they didn't even think about it. They would have thought about this, and I don't know. I think at this point, PlayStation is just pushing to see how far they can go and get away with things. DoomCutie, I know you haven't played The Last of Us yet.
No, I haven't.
At this $70 price tag, do you think that this is how you want to jump into it? Does it make sense for you as someone who hasn't played it? Because that's something that we've heard, a narrative in the community is like, what about the people who haven't played it? It's fine for them to pay $70 for a PS3 era game remastered
with a new skin.
Yeah.
Look, I really. Look, as I sway towards Xbox most of the time, it doesn't mean that I hate PlayStation. But as a person who does that, I feel very listened to, and I feel very I'm able to say what I want about Xbox and Microsoft and their releases. And I feel like Microsoft do listen more to the Xbox community. So as a result, do I really want to be supporting a company that doesn't listen to their consumers? And I think that's what it's going to come down to for me. If it came down into the PlayStation Plus, which I think is a really, really, really big missed opportunity by them, then I would play it. But unless it's on sale, like you said, Risk it, I just don't think I will be jumping into it immediately on day one.
No, and neither will I. I love the game. I thought it was one of the best games that's ever been made. Just I wanted to play this game, and if it was at the $40 price point, which I think would work out to around about 60, 70 over here, I would probably...
So it's 120 Australian dollars for a game that, like you said, it was released on the PS3. And I understand. One of the best
games. Oh, sorry, Jamie.
No, that's okay. Like, I mean, we could talk about Elder Scrolls. We can talk about GTA 5. Those are all games that released around the same time and are still being, flogged to this day. So, however, I feel like they've had, they do have the downloadable content and the expansions that they've done with them. So I feel like they have more legs to stand on, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's disappointing, and I don't like to feel like I'm a cash cow. I mean, I know that I am. I'm a consumer, but I don't like being taken for a ride. I don't, and I won't be paying $120 for a game that came out with the PlayStation 3. Yes, it looks prettier. It does, but it's a fantastic story. but I don't think it's worth $120, and I don't think it's worth me spending that money to support a company that won't listen to their customers.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say
Yeah.
that Ripe Green and Gold pointed out that he paid $10 for the remaster. So if you're going to play it, you can get it for $10, bearing in mind that Ripe Green and Gold is in Australia, and it's $120 for this game, and you don't get factions with it, then just pay $10, get the remaster. I mean, the game is, like you said, one of the best games ever made, with one of the best stories ever told in gaming. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, look, I
This
think
is a cash grab.
Doovie made a great point. He said, think about this. It's going to be the same price as God of War Ragnarok. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Boba. Put that up there. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But
I'll pay
in
$70 for God of War Ragnarok, and you know, I might not be happy about it, but I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point, Doovie, by the way. Yeah. Same price for this as a brand new game in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Ragnarok will be worth $70 in my humble opinion.
I hope so.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
I-
staunchly
Kratos gets
against
murked in the
$70
first
games.
10
Boba's calling
Right.
me out. Just so you know, I don't know about you, but I take my posting very seriously, and I actually have scheduled posts throughout the day. And I time them. So
Intervention will be coming.
hey, look, I gaming is for everyone. I don't hate on any particular, PC gamer, like whatever. It doesn't matter to me as long as everyone is having a good time. That's what matters to me. And I'm sorry, but I won't be having a good time paying $120 for a game that came out with
Not
a
at
PS3.
all.
But anyway, that's not a good time for me.
Hey,
No.
Riz, could you highlight Hargeet's latest tweet? Or it's not
Yeah,
tweets,
I already
comment.
had, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hargeet
I
said
agree with
in the chat, he said the issue is our community is more Xbox than PS, and the PS community is not pushing back. They'd rather console war instead of demand better from Sony. Free PS5 upgrade for Horizon Forbidden West, so they listen. Yeah, look, I think that there is some of the PlayStation community, and some of the bigger names are pushing back, Hargeet, and that's good to see. That's actually in this issue something that's really has been really good to see. The console warriors on Twitter, yeah, absolutely, they are staunch and they won't change, and they're only hurting themselves. Really, at the end of the day, they hurt themselves. But what's disappointing is with the $70 games is they've hurt the wider community because they've backed Sony. So I think at this point, everyone needs to get on board with this. I agree with that, and just start pushing back and saying this is not okay. Especially in these times when things are so hard. Fuel is so expensive. Food prices are through the roof. Everything is so expensive. What we don't want or need is our entertainment to be more expensive. We need our entertainment to be a place that we don't get anxious about going to because of its cost, but that we want to go to escape the shit in the world. Or, just have a good time and hang out with your mates. Look, that's pretty much... Oh, we've got a question for the panel. After the release of the remake, do you think the non-remake will be taken down off the store? Yeah, Bob, I definitely think they'll do that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yep.
They
I
always
think
do.
so.
Be a dirty tactic, but
Yep. They definitely will. 100. They've done it. They've done it every time. Even look at 2K pulling down stuff before the release. Listen, just on what I think it was Ripe Green and Gold said with the $10. I actually got it for $8, mate. No, but like if you wait, this is the thing. Sony will drop. They won't get the sales that they want. And it will drop in price dramatically, I think, after 6 months. And I can wait 6 months. I can wait a year.
Yeah,
I've played
so
it.
can
And you can because you know it's going to be there. The game's not going to change. It's not going to have a multiplayer thing. Its player counts aren't going to drop. There's no reason for you to get it day one. So for me, I love that they're releasing it. And I think it's stupid on their part that they're charging what they are. But if they want to go ahead and do that and shoot themselves in the foot and continue to give themselves that anti-consumer name, let them go ahead and do it. I hope that these massive missteps will eventually come back to hurt them enough that they start to rethink their strategy of basically bending PlayStation players over. And anyway, that's the end of the show.
I just wanted to quickly add, Risket, that going to Hargeet's point that it might be too late to stay at 60, and I think he's right. Monad pointed out to me the other day that Skull and Bones is now $70, and so I think Ubisoft were holding off on 70, and Xbox are holding off on 70.
Yeah.
I think Xbox is the only one left at 60 now that Skull and Bones is
Yeah.
launching at 70.
To be
So-
Okay,
fair, I don't even know if I would
before
want to
we
pay
end this
60
show-
for Skull and Bones.
Before we end the
Agreed.
show, let me ask the
Agreed.
panel. Let me ask you guys. Hang on. Let me ask you guys because I know you all want to jump in there because that does bring up a very good point. I think, and I've said it before on this show, that I think that eventually Microsoft will have to go $70 now that this is all happening and what's been happening throughout the industry. I think they will eventually have to go to $70 games, and I think it will happen. What do you guys think, McG? I'll go to you, and then we'll move around the panel.
I don't think that they'll have to, but I think that they will. I think, if they're the last people not at 70, then it just doesn't make financial sense for them to not go to 70. Like at that point, no one's going to hold it against them for joining with the entire rest of the industry. That being said, I don't think that they would necessarily need to, because their business model has sort of moved away from individual game sales to the subscription model, to the point wherein I don't necessarily think that they particularly even care how many individual copies a game sells of a game. Like, obviously, it's better if it sells more. Like, they're a business, they want the money. But I think that they're far more interested in bringing those people into Game Pass. I mean, they wouldn't be putting their first-party games in there day one with no additional charge, unless that was the case. So,
I think you hit it on the head. It's not something they need to do because they're fine, but it's something they might be pushed to do because everybody else would do it, so it'll become an industry standard. That said, I still would push against it, but it would be less a burden. It would be less a burden on us on Xbox side because those games go day and date. You know what I mean? It's a loss for those who are not subscribed. It's a loss for those who prefer to just own their game outright. But it won't be a loss for us who, are subscribers. But yeah, I think what you said is ultimately correct. It might be something they're forced into just because it's an industry standard. I hope that's not the case, but it looks to be like it's headed that way. What about you, Doomy?
Look, if it becomes an industry standard, then obviously they will. But you know what? I won't feel bad purchasing these games for that price because I know that in some weird way, me buying that game, I'm supporting, people who actually do care about their consumers. So yeah, I wish it wasn't that way, but yeah. Like if I want a game, I'll buy it. If I wanted to buy a reskin of a game that came out with the PS3, then I would be like, okay, $120 is fine by me, but I'm not okay with that. But you know what? I'm not going to judge anyone who is okay with that as well. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm better than you because I don't want to do that. And I'm not going to try and convince you to not buy it.
yeah.
Because that's not how I am. And I think a lot of people, especially in the PlayStation community, they go into these spaces and they're like, oh, well, why not? Why wouldn't you? And I just, I'm not about that. Never happened.
Yeah. I think you're right. That's fair to say. I mean, because that actually came up in that space where people, they were like, listen, if I want to buy this, I bought blah, blah, blah for 100, blah, 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 American dollars. And he's like, I don't think I should be shamed for doing it. I said, that's fair. I said, but it cuts both ways because PlayStation guys will definitely rain on people's parade who don't want to pay 70. And they'll say that you're broke. They'll call you all types of names. I've seen it, And just to point out what KY Bob just said, he said $70 games are automatically better than $60 games. A Pony told him so.
Mr. Ed's out back handing out games.
Yeah.
Right.
In going back to that, I think the ship has sailed. I think that Microsoft will push to $70. I think that will happen when Activision acquisition is finalized, unfortunately. And I think that Microsoft really did want to stay at 60. I think more so than anything else, the inflation would have pushed their hand or forced their hand. It's caused everything to go up in price. But don't forget, guys, you usually get about a 10% discount when you're on Game Pass, so that does help.
Yeah, true. But I like physical
like
games as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because it is still that thing where there are times where I'll play a first party game on Game Pass for free, and then I'll be like, I really like this game and I want to support these people, so I'll
Yeah,
go out and specifically buy that one in a physical copy so that I can have it, because I like having it on my shelf. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, I think I've said
but
before, I like to see my debt in front of me, like to
Yeah,
hold it, like to sleep with it
absolutely.
at night.
As
You know?
as a recent college graduate,
You like
I can
to see
respect
what?
that.
You like to see what in front of you, Cutie?
My debt.
Okay, I had to get. I just wanted clarity.
Had to double check.
Yeah.
No,
I
well,
do-
that's why. Look, I have my $40,000 piece of paper that's sitting on my wall. I can look at it right
Same.
now as we speak.
Yeah.
For my degree. So yeah,
the
I'm a
degree,
bit of
yeah.
a stickler for that.
I do like
But
though
no,
that
but,
when you were talking
but-
earlier, you made the distinction between like knowing what a game, like a product is worth, and wanting to support the devs, and like just being taken advantage of. Because I feel like that's a distinction that a lot of people are missing. Where like I completely understand people wanting to support devs that make fantastic games, like wanting to go out and buy a copy of The Last of Us because you love Naughty Dog. Like I totally understand that.
yeah.
But at the same time, I think you have to also do what's right for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
totally
I've
okay to have boundaries as a consumer. Like that's how I see it.
I've started to hold off on a couple of my purchases because of Game Pass. I mean, I will try a game on Game Pass before I purchase a game unless I really, really want it. And I'm probably going to do that with Gotham Knights, even though I really want to play the game, and probably Saints Row as well, because there's other things coming out that I won't have to pay for, like Scorn.
Yeah, but like I really want the Steelbook. That's the only thing for me. So I've already
For which one?
or Warhammer 40k, or Plague's Tale Requiem. All these games coming to Game Pass, so it's not like I won't have anything to play. Yeah, look, I won't, tell someone not to buy a $70 game. What people do with their money is completely up to them.
Yeah, for sure. Like, because the thing of it, right, is like, for me personally, like my own use case, the $70 thing isn't a huge problem for me. I just don't like the idea of it, because realistically, I'm only buying maybe 2 PlayStation games a year, right? Like I bought Horizon and I'm gonna buy Ragnarok, and like 140 USD, like that's not terrible for a year. Like I've spent more than that on my Xbox in the last 6 months, so like you know what I mean? Like it's not make or break for me. I just don't like the idea of it because I feel like it's a slippery slope.
I agree.
I agree.
That's exactly where I stand on it. And much like you, I use my PlayStation 5 and previously the 4 just for Sony's exclusives. Everything else is on Xbox. So I feel you on that. I could justify getting a game or two at that full price. It's like you said, it's a slippery slope, man. And I do not want to give in to that $70 thing. I just refuse. And I have so many games that I can play and have so many games in my backlog that I don't need to get it day and date. I can afford to wait, and get it later when it's on a discounted price.
Yeah, for the longest time, I felt exactly the same way about DLC. I thought that a lot of DLC that came out should have been in the game initially, especially with what Ubisoft is doing with a lot of their DLC, where they'll actually take content out of the main game just to add it to DLC later. And I felt that was a very, I just didn't like the look of it, the optics of it. And yeah, I feel the same way about $70 games, but I mean, what can we do as consumers? Basically, like I said, I think the ship has sailed. It's pretty much only Xbox holding off now, and I think that will change once the acquisition goes through.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope that Microsoft doesn't go down that path, but I think it's an inevitable thing. But I think, a price rise for the sake of a price rise is what it seems like to me, for greediness. Just basically telling consumers that, hey, everything costs more these days. So, your games are going to cost more these days. And I think Microsoft would be smart not to go down that path in the end. I think it's a good thing, a good optics thing for them to be the only publisher in the space that charges $60 instead of $70. So yeah, we will see what happens. But this has brought us to the end of our show. It's been an absolutely amazing show. I've really enjoyed today, and I've really enjoyed your takes, Mr. McGee. You're extremely knowledgeable in the industry. And I urge everyone to get over to Mr. McGee's channel, which I will link in the chat, and I will link it in the description later on. Get over there, check out Mr. McGee's channel. It is absolutely awesome. I spent a bit of time watching some of his videos this week and just checking him out, and it's well worth the sub. So yeah, please let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, what you'll be playing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on social media, on Twitter at Daniel J McG. That's Daniel J MCG. If you're watching this on or listening to this in audio and can't see it on the screen, you can find my YouTube channel just at Daniel McG. Like Brisket said, I do a lot of sort of video game news. I tend to talk more about the industry than reviews because it's the part that interests me more personally. Kind of do some deep dives, longer videos, that sort of thing. And of course, you can find me every single Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Central over on the Double Barrel Gaming channel for the Xbox Factor podcast. And that's everything I do.
Absolutely. And if you aren't subscribed, I'd say a lot of you are already subscribed to Mr. Boomstick's channel. Head over there and get subscribed. He does a plethora of podcasts, not just focused on Xbox. And also one of Mr. Boomstick's new panelist, Umbra. Great show, mate. Fantastic. So it's a good segue there. Fantastic show, man. You always bring your hot takes and your not so hot takes to the show. And we appreciate you, mate, coming every week and just giving us your views on what's going on in the industry, and let people know where they can find you and what you are up to for the next week and what you'll be playing.
Oh yeah, man, it's been great. Danny, thank you for coming through and gracing us today, brother. Really appreciate it. And this actually was a really good discussion, by the way. So, and thanks and love to my co-hosts and to you too, Risk, of course. As far as Boom, I just want to shout him out, if of course, of bringing brother in, and also for him and his wife to feel better. They both are under COVID, unfortunately, and they're having a tough go at it. But and I know you were too, Risk, so I hope you and your family are feeling better. Just want to say thank you all in the chat for coming through and supporting us as you do. Really appreciate that. We all do. Trust me. It means a lot to us. And of course, you all can find me under Umbra Infinite or Infinite Umbra on Twitter. And Xbox under Superhavoc. If I like you enough, I'll add you. I can't promise you.
Yeah, no, it took him, I think it was like my third week on the show and he finally added me.
See, I learned not to simp anymore, you all. See this?
Hey!
I learned.
Forza.
I had to learn.
These games.
Umbra poo at Forza. I see you, Steph. He's unfortunately, he's kind of right. I do suck right now. I need to get my driving skills back up.
We will be having a special show midweek about how bad Cold War was. So, Steph, I can't wait to see you there. And how good Modern Warfare was, and how much of a better game that definitely was than Cold War. DoomCutie again. It's all good that you were running behind. Life happens, and it does hold us up. I myself had to dip out a couple of times to help my partner deal with the baby. We've all got kids. We've all got lives. And you would come on the show every week and give us your time. And give us your takes, and it's always amazing to have you on. And welcome back for this week. We missed you last week. Let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, and what you'll be playing.
Oh, thank you, Riskit. Yeah, just life happens, and sometimes we just it gets in the way. But yes, so happy to be back here with you guys. Like I said, it felt like I had a missing limb for almost 2 weeks. Not being here last week, but I had a great trip in Sydney. I was able to visit family, so that was really nice. Sydney's crazy, by the way. I haven't been there for like 6 years, and then before that, yeah, it's been almost like 10 years since I was actually like deep in Sydney. So because I'm not originally from Perth. So there you go, a little bit of a random fact about me. This week I've actually jumped into the beta of Multiverses, and I'll actually be doing a write-up for that this week. So look for that. You can find me on Twitter. You can find more of my writing on Game On Australia. And yeah, feel free to add me on Xbox or wherever. Just search for DoomCutie. And yes, I hope Riskit and his family feel better.
And you can find the links for all of us just to add as well in the description. So if you're looking for any one of us, you can head down there, find DoomCutie, find Umbra, and find JediKnightPete. Mate, great show. It's always great to have you on. We had an absolute ball playing Halo this week, and playing Forza this week was fun as well. So just let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, and what you'll be playing this week.
Great show as usual. Great to have you back, Jimmy. McGee, Daniel, you were amazing. Yeah, so knowledgeable, mate. Really love talking gaming with you. I'll be on Twitter at JediKnightPete, at Xbox at JediKnightPete.
Awesome, fantastic, and the naked girls are back. I was just going to the chat as well. And Umbra, you've been quick on that button today, man. I tell you what.
I'm kind of lonely, guys.
Well, you all know where to find DoomCutie's links, so don't hit her up because we don't want that sort of stuff. But I'm just kidding.
I don't.
She doesn't have the God of War release date. You don't need to send her anything.
No.
Right.
No, but you know what?
Save for them.
You know what? If anyone has the Hogwarts Legacy date, yeah, you can feel free to slide into my DMs. We can have that conversation for sure.
Well, they have just rated that. Monad said way earlier in the chat before you got here, they have rated Hogwarts Legacy, and it is an adult rating. Know. So that's pretty cool.
Yes,
and that's
yes. I'm maybe because of an online experience, experience, perhaps that would be absolute. Yeah. Anyway,
it would be cool.
I'm not hyperventilating.
I found out that me and Risk, by the way, are Slytherin. So just wanted to point.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that already. I made everyone do the Hogwarts sorting quiz.
No, I'm Hufflepuff. I'm Hufflepuff. I wasn't Slytherin.
Are you?
Nope. Not
Slytherin. I thought you were Slytherin.
Definitely not.
Everyone.
Wait, what? Risk is Hufflepuff? Okay.
Everyone thinks that I'm going to be a Slytherin, but I'm definitely not. Just must be a vibe that I give off. I don't know what it is. But anyway, look, we're coming to the end of the show, but I just wanted to thank everyone that came through the chat. You guys are absolutely awesome. The support's been amazing since we started the show and going forward. All the new people, or the people that have supported us from day one, you guys are absolutely amazing. Please do share it out, hit the like button, subscribe. Let everyone know that we're here at 8 p.m. EST every Friday and 10 a.m. if you're in the east of Australia. And it's been a great show. Thank you to everyone. You'll be able to find me on Xbox for the week, or you can find me on Twitter. I'm going to remove myself from Twitter for a little while just to chill out. But you can still find me there. And yeah, great show, guys.